Hello everyone. How's it going? It's another wonderful day doing Zim things in the Zim wide world. Hello to you, Alice. Benya's in here as well. Don't do it, Zim. This guy's worth losing brain cells over. What he says is unbelievably dumb, but it's more has to do with the fact that its principle, I'd say, is more what I'm concerned with when it comes to this guy. And I'm doing good. Thank you. This is also another one of those days where I was like, am I actually going to get home on time? Because something entirely my fault. Not by, like any bad thing, mind you. It just so happened that I messed something up and I was like, oh no. Things are like really bad. I can't believe I did that. But it worked out in the end, and I will say it wasn't entirely my fault. So, yeah. But, you know, do the usual. Get everyone in here, see how things go. As well as kind of trying out how different things work. That's actually a lot better if I want to do art. And what's up? Yeah, we'll do, you know, what we usually do, where we get a few things in, except in this case, though, at least. Since I'm by myself, I can just kind of do the art in pieces. I don't have to worry about bringing other people in or forgetting they're in there. Although if people do want to join later on, they can. I did not think I was actually going to be... The stream, I don't think it's going to be super long, honestly. But I did want to at least work on something while I was prepping for things to start. But if anyone does have questions, however, not necessarily pertaining to the stream itself, or like the thing that's going to be discussed, like the person in question, but has like a Godzilla question or a question for me, feel free to ask and I will answer. Recently had hundreds of people telling me that Godzilla isn't real. My question is, do you have proof? Godzilla is definitely not real. Well, if you're talking about Godzilla in the real world, is Godzilla in the real world not real? Yes. If Godzilla you talk about as a fictional character, as a property does not exist, well, that's definitely wrong. Do 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 do. And not super kaiju related, but have adjacently kaiju. I'd say I've been just kind of working on like dozens of like pseudo dinosaurs, and this is just another one. And it's not going all the way to the top. I love that. So obviously a lot of these I've been getting showcases on my Instagram and on my DeviantArt with like little profiles and stuff. So I've been writing up a few. There should be some at the end of this week, but primarily it may take a little bit of time just because I also know that I am helping someone else with a project they're working on. It's Dr. Tartano. I know he is working on a book that he gave me the prologue for. I am probably going to do a little short for the prologue that I'll post this week after I'm done with it, because I was going to be working on it tomorrow, and at the latest I was going to give him back my thoughts Monday, and Tuesday probably do a small little thing after I come back from other things I'm doing. Thank you. But if anyone's curious, I guess, sort of what I'm doing, like at least how my process works is I start off with at least 2-3 reference images, and I love when I do that. No. That's sometimes where you have to like realize what you're doing, and then you think to yourself, I love everything how this turned out, and then it's on the wrong layer, and you're like, oh no, I have to do everything else all over again. But yeah, so I start off with a few reference images, at least 3. Sometimes do like 5, 6, or I won't even use all the reference images I do have. And from there, I'll start to block out things. Sometimes I will like have to, just because of the size of the piece, I'll have to turn on the opacity on some drawings just so I can see what I'm doing on like the work I am doing. So I don't confuse myself or like have to redo what I'm working on or just tab things in and out, because like going back to this and that can kind of be annoying, especially if I'm trying to do something for my eye. Most overrated Godzilla monster. That's a good question. I'm not gonna say Godzilla, because obviously since it's the Godzilla series, the technical correct answer would be something like it's Godzilla. But there could be an argument that King Ghidorah is kind of overrated. And this is just coming from the fact that outside of like 1964, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, or the Monsterverse, in my Final Wars, although not really King Ghidorah, a different monster. King Ghidorah just hasn't lived up to the hype as like Godzilla's arch rival, because obviously Destroy Monsters, he gets obliterated with like a bunch of other Earth monsters, Godzilla and all the rest beating up on him. So Ghidorah really didn't get to show off being the big bad there to like challenge Godzilla. And then Godzilla versus Gigan, it's not really, again, Ghidorah being Godzilla's arch rival. It's mostly, I'd say the fight's mostly between Godzilla and Gigan, with King Ghidorah in the back. I mean, honestly, I feel like Anguirus is more integral to that movie in terms of like interesting elements than King Ghidorah is. And not to mention, at this point, that suit was already like kind of old, so you could tell it was a little bit older. Which it's not a knock against the actor who was in that suit. It's just the suit was really so old that there wasn't much else you could do, really. I could also see an argument for Mothra too, because like Mothra got one movie, her first movie, her solo film, which is really good. And then after Godzilla versus Mothra versus Godzilla, every subsequent film is almost a retread of the plot of the first Mothra movie, because you have in the first Mothra movie, the Riliskans essentially exploiting the fairies and the larva, or a Mothra, coming in to set straight the human characters, and that happens in Mothra versus Godzilla in a sense where you have Godzilla doing it instead of Mothra herself. But like the idea of like the mistakes of stubborn humans resulting on like a monster coming happens in that film. You have that with the fairies getting kidnapped in Battle for Earth, Tokyo SOS, same kind of thing, but in the case it's Godzilla again instead of Mothra, but it's because of Mechagodzilla's bones. So there's that. And I'd say like the only case where that didn't happen is Cottom, really, because I guess you could technically say the Orca kind of plays a similar role, but it's not a really good one-to-one. Rodan is like, I'd say like the only member, ironically enough, of the Big Five I can really say isn't overrated is Mechagodzilla, because you could also make an argument for Rodan too, because although like he helps out Godzilla and Astro Monster, you don't see Rodan in the same role as Anguirus. Like, a lot of people think of Anguirus as Godzilla's closest friend instead of Rodan, because Rodan had helped out Godzilla even before before Anguirus had not helped Godzilla before Rodan. Rodan had been there in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster and in Invasion of Astro Monster. So Rodan had a track record before Anguirus, and the first time you see Anguirus and Godzilla working together is the same movie where Rodan's still working with Godzilla. And then post Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, you have Rodan essentially kind of being a back player because Mothra has a bigger role in Final Wars. Although King Ghidorah himself isn't in that film of Kaiser Ghidorah, it's still a Ghidorah, and the only monster that doesn't appear out of the big five is Mechagodzilla. And by this point, Mechagodzilla already had 2 solo films of its own, and Mothra had been in one of those films as well. So there's that. And then, like, once you get to like post Final Wars, you have Rodan in Kodam, who's a bit more of a bit player. And like we love Rodan because it's Rodan, but it could be argued that like his more cowardly, spineless nature kind of doesn't befit like what you think of when someone thinks of a member of the Big Five, if that makes sense. And then, of course, in Singular Point, you don't have like one main Rodan. Outside of like the Shadow one, you have multiple Rodans, and that could also, I'd say, could be considered a case where Rodan might be the most overrated, followed probably by King Ghidorah, then by Mothra, with Mechagodzilla being the least overrated, and obviously not including Godzilla in this. But yeah, no, I like that. If anyone else got like a similar Godzilla question, I'd love to hear it. I think probably I'm gonna work on this piece for about, let's do another half an hour. So about 15 more minutes, and then we will get on to the videos and my main points. There's always that thing too when everything's kind of more sticked, and you're like, I wonder how I'm gonna want to pose that if I want to have him kind of moving in a sense where his body's sort of shifted, like where he's facing sort of the screen more, or if his gaze is kind of facing that way. But we'll kind of see as the piece develops. I think probably while I wait for a question, the least overrated monster maybe could be that kind of ties into it with Sea Monster. Titanosaurus needs more love and representation. He'd fit in the Monsterverse pretty well. Yeah, I'd say all of the really naturalistic monsters, so Baragon, Gorosaurus, Varan, Titanosaurus, Anguirus, all of those fit really well into the Monsterverse, especially since all of them are burrowers. So something like that works really well. Definitely Titanosaurus. I'd say like the only thing I'd be concerned about where it concerns Titanosaurus is that I could see whatever designer gets a hold of him really leaning into him being a giant Spinosaurus and maybe trying to remove a lot of what makes Titanosaurus really special in terms of like his unique design elements, like either meeting the colors a little bit more or trading in like a more horizontal posture. But like I definitely agree there. Titanosaurus is definitely a monster that can use some love, and it's pretty underrated. I would say, even though despite the fact that like people love to joke about him not being like him being underrated himself, he's not really anymore as Varan, because everyone talks about Varan now. And although like he's never been in like a movie proper in like years, he's been in so many like smaller projects, and I think he's frontlining the next like big IDW series, or at least a IDW one shot. So Varan gets enough love to where like I wouldn't consider him at this point underrated anymore. But I I still love me Varen. Varen is still a good boy. And what else? Megalon's kind of Megalon's in that weird case where, because of his movie, Megalon is not as underrated as some other monsters, but Megalon could also fit. I know a lot of people love to see something like Megalon. I prefer Mechagodzilla over King Ghidorah. I'd say in terms of like all the movies they appear in, I like the movies with Mechagodzilla more than like the ones with King Ghidorah as a focus. So I prefer watching like Terror of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla to like Godzilla vs. Gigan, Destroy All Monsters, Invasion of Astro Monster, and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster more. And I'd probably say I like the Heisei Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah movies about the same. And then I think GMK in terms of writing is a better movie than either of the Kiryu films, but I think that in terms of effects, they're pretty similar in terms of like how well they do things, I'd probably say, in my opinion. But yeah, it's still like, I think I've grown a really deep appreciation for Tokyo SOS, and I like that more than GMK, honestly, in terms of just watching. Although I don't necessarily believe it to be a superior film. I just like it more in terms of just viewing. What else can I say? And then I'd probably say like I like watching Tokyo SOS a little bit more than I like watching Final Wars, even though like Final Wars is good Unga Bunga fun. And then actually the only one that the two that break it is I like watching Planet Eater and King of the Monsters more than I like watching City on the Edge of Battle and Godzilla vs. Kong. And I'd say like the only one that's like a specifically Ghidorah focused film is Planet Eater and King of the Monsters. And the problem with GVK is that's focused mostly on Godzilla vs. Kong, and Mechagodzilla is thrown in there as like the wild card so the two can team up. So I guess there's that. But yeah, like that's like the only exception, I guess. But it's not really fair to Mechagodzilla in that case. But I would say like in terms of like projects, I like writing. I prefer writing King Ghidorah than I prefer writing Mechagodzilla. I think Mechagodzilla is, when it comes to Mechagodzilla as a character, he's very easy to write, but I think also being the fact that Mechagodzilla is a weapon, you have to do the job of having your human characters be very compelling to therefore make Mechagodzilla very compelling, because a lot of like what the villains or heroes are thinking is then translated onto like the actions of the mecha, so therefore you can infer a character in that way. The only two times you don't see that where a human character's actions are sort of imposed upon Mechagodzilla would be in Godzilla vs. Kong, where I like the idea of Ghidorah possessing Mechagodzilla, which is not a one-for-one, but that's lifted from the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 Japanese manga, where the programming for Mecha King Ghidorah takes over Mechagodzilla 2, and it goes berserk and tries to like brutalize Godzilla. I recommend if you like manga and you want to see what they were doing in terms of the adaptations for the like Heisei movies, I would really recommend finding like clips of those where you can. I know Toho Kingdom is where I used to see those pictures and the like. So yeah, and in that case, it's sort of like you're leveraging, in that case, another famous monster who has his own personality. So that's why I think Mechagodzilla is easier to write than King Ghidorah. Whereas with King Ghidorah, there's a lot more opportunities you can do, especially with how you explore the idea of aliens, or like what kind of alien King Ghidorah is. Oh lord, it's OC. Yeah, I'm just doing like a dinosaur slash kind of kaiju, or more dinosaur, just monster, not really giant kaiju. It's a me, Zimster. Right now I'm just getting thrown a little multiple questions, and in about 10 or so more minutes, we're gonna switch over to the videos, and then I'll probably open up the floor to people who want to jump on and say a few things while I chill. I guess in a way, both Monsterverse and Godzilla kind of influences King Ghidorah writing. Yeah, so Ghidorah is the base of Mechagodzilla's writing, in the sense where any intentions King Ghidorah had for the planet are going to be imposed upon the possessed Mechagodzilla, because Mechagodzilla's quote-unquote character for GVK is going to be fighting Godzilla for humanity, which is definitely the character of Heisei Mechagodzilla, and the imposed character of Kiryu. And that's one thing why people outside of the design people of Kiryu, is because you have the imposed character of the 54 Godzilla, which again, you're using the establishment of another character to further characterize the machine. So that's why Mechagodzilla again is easy to write. And since King Ghidorah is obviously alien invasive species, you can infer that now now King Ghidorah quote unquote has a new body, that whatever he was gonna do is kind of gonna be close to the same. But and I think like another thing where it comes to King Ghidorah's writing, at least if we want to talk about that, is with King Ghidorah you have technically two different interpretations. You have what is the individualistic King Ghidorah interpretation, and then you have the like essentially War Machine King Ghidorah, which War Machine King Ghidorah is very similar to like how it is with Mechagodzilla, in a sense you have King Ghidorah being controlled by other aliens, the Keylocks, Planet X, the Garogas, the Futurians, although they're not aliens. You have someone else controlling King Ghidorah, and some of the Mechagodzilla, their thoughts, beliefs, character translate onto King Ghidorah's actions. Whereas you have the individualistic King Ghidorah, which is a creature similar to Godzilla, but on a cosmic scale, in the sense where you have something that destroyed other civilizations and could haunt others across the galaxy and across the universe. But since we don't really know too much else about King Ghidorah's origins outside of the Heisei incarnation, where we know he's the byproduct of sapient tampering, you have a situation where King Ghidorah, for all intents and purposes, is a natural phenomenon, unlike Godzilla to a degree, where Godzilla is a mutation. So if Godzilla had been mutated by the Bobs, you wouldn't have Godzilla the way he is. Whereas King Ghidorah, in an almost Lovecraftian sense, is and was, regardless of Godzilla, there always would have been a King Ghidorah in the universe of the Showa timeline or the other timelines where Ghidorah is an alien. And I find that interesting, and I like exploring that. And the like having King Ghidorah essentially have more sapience of his own, and not like to a degree character similar to like how you have Gigan and Megalon be characterized, although it's more in their cases they're being characterized where you're hamping it up for a little bit more of a comedic effect, whereas like having King Ghidorah be a little bit more mysterious works to his benefits. And I think that's the appeal of like the alien in the monster movies, especially the alien monsters, that you don't really necessarily know their motives, especially the ones that don't talk. because with like even if you're looking at like the Ultraman aliens, their intentions are almost always just to take over the Earth. They're very much imperialistic in that sense, and that's easy to understand. Where with King Ghidorah, you could write something that isn't necessarily Ghidorah trying to take over the planet, and that would be really interesting because unlike the humanoid aliens, it's not as simple as a need for control for like resources or something like that. When you hear about the novel, it's more so Ghidorah's DNA and the AI combined to create a new consciousness or something. Yeah, like, but then ultimately again, it's the what is Mecha Godzilla being influenced by King Ghidorah's like DNA. So Ghidorah's actions still technically influence Mecha Godzilla. And this isn't to say that like there is a bad like certain ways to have King Ghidorah essentially be like a pawn of another alien is bad or anything, but it's just something to consider. Another thing I love is sometimes when you're drawing is that you'll get where you're kind of planning things out. So you have that spine, right? Like that's where you want your spine. And then if you start there and have that be the end of it, maybe it comes off as too far, too close to one side. And then you're like, it's perfectly right down the middle. And then you have to, like, I used to do a whole bunch of racing. I'm like, But looks like we're heading up in about three minutes before I'm gonna switch over to discuss the videos. So yeah, so about 3 minutes before I switch over to the video / content in question. So if anyone's got like a quick question they want to throw my way before then, throw that out there, or forever hold your peace until the next stream, I suppose. Yeah, it works. Okay, I like that better. Oh, okay. No, it is a little further back. Okay. Where are the kids, Nate? They're fine. They're downstairs. They're having a ball. I fed them. I washed them. I did everything, not to mention literally paid the bills for them. I'm still expecting, considering the fact that you lost the case, all that alimony money goes to me. So I'm expecting those checks. So why don't you pay up? Why don't you give me? Why don't you super chat me the the alimony so I can totally use it on the kids and not paying for a PC to do more content? How about that? Most powerful character in the Godzilla franchise besides Godzilla? I'd probably say, I am super far back on my metas, but technically, probably like I'd say still would be like Ghidorah. Probably avoid Ghidorah still, depending on like how that fight goes down with like 3D and like bypassing like laws and stuff, because there's not too many of the monsters like similar in power to Godzilla to where they might be able to break through those hacks. But only monsters I could say that'd be similar to that would be like Destroya or like Space Godzilla. So mostly like Heisei timeline is like the Heisei monsters are like definitively like the strongest version, like incarnations of the characters that you see them in, for the most part. Outside like probably a few exceptions. My crack addiction says otherwise. Yeah, crack addiction says otherwise, and that is why, and that's why you don't have kids. No, you don't have kids. Okay, so we'll stop there, and we'll go back to more drawings and stuff after we finish the videos. So what we are doing today is, and we're going to streamception just a little bit, a tiny schmeasly little bit. So I was going through like Godzilla video essays, and I had been watching a couple of them, and then like there's some stuff that aren't even Godzilla video essays that pop up, and I'm like, okay, cool. But then I came across this by OrganizedChaos. So now for context, no, father, movie lover, giant nerd. And as you can see by his little banner here, the man is not familiar with, like, Godzilla's obviously not a big part of his channel. It's Marvel, DC, and Star Trek, at least. So, yeah. And these are, like, the kinds of videos he makes. Things like EFAP is anti-arts, Number Chin is based, and Edemion is a liar. The Coker Jicker make a woke movie. The X-Men 97 grift is desperate. EFAP fans, FEFAP hates fans, featuring actual fandom. But then, like, out of all these things, you get this little video right here. One of the best Godzilla movies just left theaters, and it's like, okay, I'm actually we're gonna deep vibe this right here, deep lore. I just want to see, like, is there anything else related to Godzilla on the channel? Anything at all? We can keep going. We can keep going. I thought that was a Godzilla thing for a second. That's why I went up there. I do know, however, that he did make a video called Godzilla 2014 Sucks, or Does It, which we responded to a while back, and it actually got claimed because the music he put in the video claimed my stream. So that was fun, but that was years ago. Like, that was around the time King of the Monsters 2014 came out, and I know he also did I think, review of King of the Monsters too, but as you can see on the OrganizedChaos channel, there is nothing. And we're going back 2 years. Like, but let's just be generous and we'll go to oldest. Nothing still. You can tell this is long. It's WoW content. But yeah, there it is. There's this one from 9 years ago. Godzilla 2014 sucks, or does it? I also love the fact that it's like, why this movie sucks, and then the or does it is so blended in here, like it's almost like it's clickbait. But we'll keep going past this just to give the person their due. Keep it going. Still going. Definitely a lot. Like at least there were several Transformers movies, a lot of DC stuff, and a lot of Marvel stuff. 2 Star Wars videos in a row. But yeah, there is no really other Godzilla content to be seen. I know he did a there's a Rampage one. There's a little Rampage movie review. I know he did a Godzilla King of the Monsters movie review though, because I think I'd seen that as it was like recommended beside the -1 video. I just need to see where it is though. Nope. There it is. Look how far down my cursor is from the top. And that's like, what's it called? So that was 4 years ago. I think there's like, yeah, it was like a 5-year gap because obviously it was when the movies were coming out. So yeah, so obviously Godzilla's not a big part of his channel. The issue I have with this video, like the main thing is that it's essentially glazing with no real substance. And I think that if people are going to talk about Godzilla -1, at least do a little bit more substantive, like praises or substantive critiques of it, rather than literally what everyone else has said, because they talk about the most generic stuff in relation to this film. And it's like, I know they don't want to spoil it, but still, you could probably give more insight than just what you give. Because this also, for context, is a excerpt from one of the streams that they did. It's Chaos and another person. I think it's like Bob or something, whatever. But it's not movie Bob, if anyone's wondering, because I said Bob. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go for you guys. We'll do 1.5 times speed, so a little bit quicker. Actually, you know what? No, we're going 75 speed, and what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna minimize that for a second. There we go. But let's begin. I'm muting that entirely because I got claimed for it the last time, so I don't want it the same thing that happened here. Yep. Okay, cool. Oh, hello, Sergeant. Oh, it's an Enclave soldier. Nice.
Hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. Help me fight the algorithm.
No. No. Okay.
Yeah, we probably will spoil 8-bit Godzilla. Yeah, I mean, it's worth watching. Like two schmucks talking about it on a podcast are not the same as watching it. It's definitely kind of an experience movie.
Yeah, no amount of.
I think, however, if like you're a review channel and you want to actually sing the praises of the film, you could do something a little bit more substantive than just saying, two schmucks talking about the movie. It's different from seeing it. Of course, if you think a movie is good, people talking about it is never going to be the same as people actually going out and watching it. Like, but at least give something some constructive like criticism or constructive like praises.
Words or description or praise that I can give for this movie, and I have nothing but praise for it. But it doesn't do it justice. You just go see this movie.
I guess should we just dive right into it? All right, Godzilla -1. If you remember the podcast last week, I went to see Poor Things, and it's not playing anywhere near here, which is annoying. But you know what? I was like, hey, Godzilla -1 is getting lots of lots of videos to talk about Godzilla -1. So let's go ahead and do a quick switch and do Godzilla -1.
So at least here he's honest, because at the start of the video, he's like telling people to subscribe to fight the algorithm, and he's like, oh, everyone's been doing -1 content, so let's switch gears and talk about Godzilla -1. So I'm not going to say he did not like the film. I'm not going to say he doesn't like genuinely think the film was good, but it's at least kind of ironic that he has like a bunch of videos talking about people being liars and grifters, but unironically straight out of the back is like, well, other people are talking about Godzilla, so let's just talk about Godzilla now instead. I've only ever done videos on 2014 King of the Monsters, and then he did a stream, which also has stuff about Godzilla X Kong, which we're gonna look at because we're not gonna go through the entire stream. It's only a small bit of it. Fight the algorithm, dog. You make videos talking about the woke agenda in 2014. The algorithm, why you aren't getting reviews. No, he's talking. He's an anti woke channel. So he talks about how people talking about anti-woke talk about woke stuff being bad are bad themselves. So he's like essentially the reaction to the reaction to the reaction type thing.
And so I went to, and Bobby was cool with it, so we went to see it, and damn, this is fucking good. Holy shit.
This was such a great movie.
Like, yeah. One thing I will say. Oh, go ahead, Bobby.
No. I'll go ahead. I'll wait.
I mean, lots of people talk about how small the budget is, and I'll tell you why. Because like, while Godzilla looks pretty fucking good here, it's not perfect, but it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, it's there's not actually tons of them throughout this. There's a bit. It's not like Godzilla lacking, but like, what makes this great is that it's kind of an amazing like character story of this one guy who is like to set up like this takes place at the end of World War II. It's the very end of World War II, and the whole thing is a kamikaze pilot landing his plane at airfield because his plane was malfunctioning. And he's like, hey, yeah, it's malfunctioning. It's not working. I can't finish the mission. And then so they check. The engineers go and check out the plane. And they're like, this plane is fine.
I hate that Godzilla got sucked into this culture war nonsense. I guess no one is allowed to have fun anymore. It's funny that you mentioned that because we're gonna look at another video where he like we'll get when we get to that short because it's literally a short. We'll talk about that. So thank you, my loyal Enclave soldier. But we'll get to there.
And that's when it's kind of revealed. It's the final days of the war. They're gonna lose, and he just didn't want to die. It was just that simple. And yeah, he has that like over him for a while because like Tokyo gets bombed and he gets blamed for not doing his mission and kind of running away. But like it's you see the story and like very early on, like this guy's getting shit on by so many people, and I am feeling so bad for him. Like the dude just wants to live, and everybody's just like, "Fuck you! How dare you fucking live?"
Yeah.
And it's
the only two people. There's only two people in the entire movie who like get on his case about that. Like that already gives people the wrong impression. And like I understand you don't want to spoil it, but like don't be like everyone's thinking about this, but like give more substantial elements to this. Like explain like because we see it from a soldier's view because of what happens to him on the island, and they'll talk about that. And like a civilian view, and like the guy at the bottom, Bobby Quarters, talks about being like a big World War II buff. So like it would be interesting if his co-host actually talked about like why like how Japanese soldiers saw those who returned from the war and like who were kamikaze pilots and actually survived and didn't fulfill their missions, or soldiers who came back alive and all of that. Like there's a lot that you could mine and it would be interesting, or at least research.
It's this great character story. It's not just like him learning, like him kind of learning to want to live. But, like he goes through hell, and like he reached a point where he's like, fuck it, maybe I shouldn't. But then also the rest of the world going, hey, maybe we shouldn't be so like frugal with life. Maybe we should like value life. Is that crazy? Bobby, what?
That just none of what they said is technically wrong, but it almost comes across as they're saying Shima's character is also like, yeah, we treated our soldiers too improperly, and also maybe like fuck it, I want to die, and like instead of being like there's a really good reason, and I understand like not wanting to spoil things, but like don't bring things up or don't do a video if like you don't want to spoil people.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I did really feel bad for the lead. Like I get his point too. Like like you had said, the war was over by that point, so there like nothing he would have done would have changed the outcome of it. Mm-hmm. And yet you see him deal with the survivor's guilt throughout a lot of the movie, and he even says at one point, his war isn't over yet. And yeah, well, he lands his plane, and over the night after they tell him and everything, like there's nothing wrong with this plane or anything. They find out like the monster Godzilla attacks, but this isn't full Godzilla like he'll become. Like this is still just a very young Godzilla at this point, who's still.
That's also just objectively wrong because it's not a young Godzilla; it's an unmutated Godzilla, and we literally see that in the movie. I understand that like people, keep forgetting that Godzilla was like around and actually like alive and like a full-grown creature before he was mutated, and people assume that just because Godzilla is smaller that like he's a baby or something. But they explicitly mentioned that Godzilla. Like we see Godzilla get irradiated. Not to mention Godzilla looks so radically different that you have to then assume that these people are like, well, based on ontogeny, this Godzilla changed so radically. Like, but we also then have to deal with the fact that through just cultural osmosis, people know that Godzilla was spawned and affected by the nuclear weapons, and we see that scene in the movie. But I don't know. It's something I see like EFAP and a few other channels and podcasts mention that like the Godzilla on Yodo Island is a young Godzilla, and I don't seem to understand how that's the case. especially when having brought like half the people I brought to the movie were not fans, but understood the fact that Godzilla wasn't a baby at first, but was like mutated.
Is very big. He just destroys and kills almost everybody at this military outpost, except for one mechanic and the pilot. Yeah, and just even that first scene with how we get to see Godzilla, because when I was sitting there watching, going, "Oh, we're gonna get right into it." Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I kind of assumed we'd build up to Godzilla. No, he's there right at the beginning. Like, it's a younger Godzilla, so he's not quite as big as normal, but he like for that little airfield, he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And like, the pilot, like, they tell him, hey, you're the only one trained on these guns. We need to get in that airplane and shoot down Godzilla, which sounds like a fool's errand, but I guess when you're hopeless, sure. But like, he gets in the plane and he freezes, and then Godzilla goes to fuck up the plane and he runs.
I mean, considering the fact that like it's a toss up in the movie, but also when you consider the fact that Godzilla's face got blown off when he was fully mutated by a landmine, that it might have done something, but of course we know Godzilla's regeneration is there. So it's one of those things that you can talk about as to whether they either could have done something to escape with more lives, or it would have completely done nothing and Godzilla just killed them all. It's something interesting to consider. And like, I think that's like one of the more compelling aspects of that scene in that part of the movie. Is this that guy that Alistair Hakon did a video about? I think it was, yeah.
Completely understandable. Of course, people blame.
I assume the regeneration was a side effect of the radiation. No, because I could understand totally why you'd think that, but apparently the Godzilla had these regenerative properties prior to being mutated, and it's because of his regeneration that he was able to survive the bombing, but his regeneration change is what causes his mutations to be the way they are, because essentially he was like burned down to almost nothing and he reformed, and that's why he looks like a traditional Godzilla after the bombs.
Blame him for not like going and shooting down Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like he can't catch a break for simply wanting to live.
Yeah.
He just gets shit on throughout the beginning, and like there's lots of like he gets back to Tokyo and it's wrecked because of the bombings, and we're not even talking about Godzilla yet. Godzilla wrecks some shit later.
Yeah, they're rebuilding by the time Godzilla gets to Tokyo.
But yeah, he encounters this woman and he assumes her daughter hurt, and she appears to be like running away from something, so she leaves the daughter with him. And then he tracks her down later and it finds out it's not even her daughter. These are just people who have been orphaned
displaced,
or stranded by family, displaced by the war, and like they end up making a family, the three of them, and that's actually really sweet. Yeah,
they're kind of like a nuclear family almost.
Yeah, and
for lack of a better word,
he picks up a good paying job as risky as fuck. He ends up being one of the guys going out and
clearing mines.
Yeah, clearing all the mines that were left.
Which I want to ask you, did a lot of that scene on the boats and the one later, which we'll get to, but did the stuff on the boat kind of remind you of Jaws?
Since he's mentioning it now, it's funny because everyone who's now talking about GVK is like, or not GVK, GXK, is that you can't have a GXK video without mentioning -1. When people are talking about -1, you can't go a review without people mentioning Jaws. So like they're falling into all the stereotypical pitfalls here.
Just like a little bit.
A little. Yeah, I can see that for sure. There's a Jaws type element to it. Well, especially when they got to actually facing down Godzilla and that little dinky boat. That was wild. And hell, it's actually kind of impressive on that little dinky boat. They figured out a way to hurt Godzilla more than all the Navy guys were at that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, Noriko. Well, technically, Noriko is just kind of waiting for Shikishima to move. She's not tracking. She's not really tracking him down. She's just waiting there. But I can see your point, by where you're saying that she tracked him down. And not to mention that they keep saying, like, everyone's, like, shitting on him. But the only people who do are Tachibana and Sumiko. Outside of that, everyone else, like, is either pretty neutral or pretty friendly towards him.
Yeah, because, well, we see them later. They get dressed to go do a mission along with clearing the mines, but it's really just to check wreckage of a ship that was an American ship. And that is when we get our first sight of Godzilla, where he literally chases them through the fucking water.
And it's a little dinky wood boat.
Somehow they managed to get some of the mines they've cleared back into the water and get him to. They tried to blow him up near him. That was their first.
It was somehow, even though in the film they explained that they were sent out there specifically to go look and fight Godzilla, and that their weapons would be salvaged on site. Again, I understand. We don't want to quote unquote spoil the movie, but if you're going to be talking about these scenes, at least be like accurate with them. I think it's more about the homage to Jaws than a comparison of movies, but everyone talked about it, whether it's an homage or a comparison. If everyone's talked about it, then like you don't really need to bring it up, because at that point, what else can you really say? Unless you really want to like talk about like comparing characters. I still find it a bit ridiculous Noriko survived that nuclear blast. She should have turned to mince meat immediately, in my opinion. That's still contentious for a lot of people. I know it's still contentious for a few people still in chat. I would say that based on the ending scene and how ambiguous it's left at the end, my interpretation has always been that whatever appears on her neck is what allowed her to survive the nuclear blast, and therefore, because we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of that element to the story, it's an unexplained phenomenon that explains a situation that probably wouldn't have happened otherwise. Because if she just survived without any explanation and we hadn't seen the ending shot with like that thing on her neck, I would say just straight up, yeah, it's fair, because it's not even like we get a sci-fi explanation or a rational one. We just don't know, and the only reason why we get that end scene is to fulfill Shikishima's arc as a character, and so he gets a happy ending, which I would still say emotionally would be effective, but I think in universe and cohesively it would not work as well.
Try and kill it, which they do some damage, but Godzilla regenerates quite quickly, which that was really awesome.
Yeah, the effects on that look
really cool.
Good.
Yeah,
like I wasn't like when he was fucked up, I was like, okay, I assume we're dealing with regenerating Godzilla because that's kind of typical for Godzilla. And
yeah.
And I love how he says that we're dealing with a regenerative Godzilla, which is typical. But I think he's only he's seen Godzilla. He's seen the American movies, but I think he's only seen one Godzilla movie, which is the original, which I think he mentions in the next video, the Shima and JXK.
Oh, and in case you're wondering, I didn't know why I was going into with this. I will admit this is only my second Japanese.
There you go. Okay, he actually says in this video it's only his second one, which my question is, I wonder which one he's talking about. If he's seen two Japanese Godzilla movies and he's seen the American ones, my only assumption would be that I know he said he's seen the 54 movie, but I'd assume maybe Godzilla 2000 because he saw the 1998 one, which they talk about as well. So
yeah. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I didn't know why I was going into with this. I will admit this is only my second Japanese Godzilla movie, so I haven't seen that many of them.
No, I third or fourth for me, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the American ones. The 90s ones garbage. The other ones are fine.
That one is pretty bad.
Yeah, really fucking bad.
Okay, I'll say this as the resident 98 hater. I will say this anytime someone brings it up, you do not try to glaze fan base points, especially Godzilla fan base points, by trashing 98. I can understand other people genuinely could hate it, but it's sort of like one of those things where channels that aren't familiar with Godzilla will just trash it out of just it's the Godzilla movie everyone in the fan base hates, so let's trash it. Only do that if you actually legitimately have good reason to dislike it. I'd rather people be like, I'm indifferent to it, or I like it, and they aren't fans, than people who don't really talk about Godzilla content say 98.
Hank Azaria couldn't even save that one.
Dude, there's actually a decent cast in that movie, but fuck.
Yeah.
What was the name? The guy from Mission Impossible and the professional.
John Renault. Yeah, John Renault. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's good too. He's good too. I mean, he's funny at least in it. It's just, that's great. But man, this is just a dumb story.
But yeah, this isn't a dumb story, and this is
holy crap,
again, I also know the Japanese ones might go goofy.
Well, they can go goofy, especially back when it was still a guy in a puppet. There's the whole scene of him.
Not a puppet, but guy in a suit. There were puppets, but okay.
Jumping and dancing.
Yeah.
Also, that's not even a scene with a puppet. That's a scene with a suit, not a puppet. But yeah.
But this one very much isn't. This might possibly be the most serious Godzilla one I've ever seen.
Yeah, and this one, I genuinely really cared for the humans in it.
Yeah.
I really cared for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get used to these characters, and that's part of what makes the movie so goddamn good. You just, you feel for the main guy, you start liking his family. God damn, that kid cries, and you're just like, oh no, fix whatever it is. Oh God, that kid's not happy. Fix what makes the kid not happy now. It's
or even the scene
on your heartstrings, and
there's this.
Again, you want to explain in more detail, go into character writing or anything substantial terms of critique instead of literally just pivoting from all the content you were doing just to glaze the movie. I'd rather someone criticize the movie than just sort of just give praise that's pretty empty, because empty praise doesn't do anything. All it shows is people like it, but I want to know always why people outside of the fan base like these movies, because this isn't productive and this doesn't really help fans, and it doesn't really help people who aren't Godzilla fans but are hearing like a YouTuber talk about this. Like, there's nothing substantial that's being said here.
Scene like right after they have that successful day, and the kid calls him daddy, and he's like, "No, I'm not your dad." Like, oh.
And that we'll go back, so we'll have a little bit more context for this.
Scene like right after they have that successful day, and the kid calls him daddy, and he's like, "No, I'm not your dad." Like, oh.
And his coworkers are quick to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you,
dude? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, you are raising that kid. Its parents are dead. You are its dad. I don't. It's like I don't care what you
care.
So, like, I love the fact that they're kind of getting on his case about this, considering the fact that like the man already had survivor's guilt about what happened. He comes back. Akiko's literally just put into his arms, and then like Noriko essentially just begins to live with her. Like the interesting thing about their dynamic is the fact that he's very reluctant to take them in at first, but it's because you can see how much of a genuine guy he is that he just keeps them in. And this is exemplified by what Sumiko says to him, because obviously she is kind of a stand-in for the people who were like disappointed and were mocking soldiers for coming back alive instead of like dying to like fight and like bring victory to the country. So having her character specifically essentially chastise him and try to say that he's acting like a hero, and he clearly isn't. He doesn't want to have that conversation. But you also get more to her character because immediately after she has her tongue lashing for him, she asks if Noriko can breastfeed, and then the moment he says that Noriko isn't Akiko's mother, her whole demeanor changes, and you transition to the scene where she's rearing the baby, and you can tell her experience there, and you get to see a new side of her character, and you don't see her as just a one-dimensional Shikishima hater, but you see her as more than that. That's what makes that character human, and that's why the interaction's so good. But even though you have Shikishima throughout the film, like not really having too much in terms of reluctance towards Noriko staying with Akiko in the film, and not to mention the fact that there's a larger amount of time that like the film actually does because of like the runtime of the movie. But you really like, even though Shikishima is feeling happy, he still has that guilt, so that's why he doesn't feel the way he does. Like, he doesn't want to feel like a father in the situation, because obviously he still doesn't feel like he's worthy of it. And like he doesn't want to actually express his true feelings towards Noriko because he doesn't feel like he's earned it. And that's why the scene where he actually opens up to her is so genuine and real, because it really captures that emotion of someone who's been through something bad, is in a good situation, and to a degree isn't able to actually take it and like experience it and feel it as best as they probably should because of the experiences they're having. But it also is a credit to Noriko's character because of the fact that she doesn't chastise him for these things, and she clearly understands to some degree like he's gone through something and that's the reason for his behavior. But because of the fact that not only is she grateful for what he's done, she's there to support him and help him, and that's why that the family dynamic works so well, because of like how traditionally nuclear it is, even though it is quite literally a found family, because none of the characters are related to one another. And that's like although I don't watch the series religiously at all, I've only seen clips and a few episodes here and there, why the three characters in Spy Family work so well, even though like they're posing as a family, they have like very different backgrounds to one another. The desire to like actually be a real family is still there to a degree, and they work through that as characters, and that's like, it's satisfying to the viewer when they see that.
Biologically, the dad, you're the dad.
Yeah, no, that one I was even like, damn, dude, like I like you, but making it hard right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, his coworkers are great too, and they are quick to call him out for that shit. It's like, that is not right, dude.
Yeah, I really like the doc.
Well, also not to mention the fact that at the time they knew he was a soldier, they didn't know he was a kamikaze pilot. So, and we don't know if he ever actually like told him specifically what happened, outside of the fact that he mentions that Godzilla had wiped out his group on Odo Island. They assume probably that's like what's going on here, but it's very much not the same as like when he talks to Noriko about the situation.
Knock out of all of them.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I like them all, but equally I like those two the best.
Yeah, the doc was definitely the best, and yeah, he's the one who ends up being the big scientist who comes up with a plan.
Like a big government guy that none of them knew. Yeah, even when they said that, I was like, holy shit, that's what he does? Like,
yeah,
shit, okay.
He knew his shit too. He couldn't quite kill Godzilla, but he knew how to fuck him up nicely.
His plan worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it needed a finishing touch. And that'd be the biggest spoiler of all. And I kind of don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to
I
ruin
guess
the
we
spoiler.
don't have to dive into that one because
No,
that's
but,
my biggest thing of all. But yeah.
The tactic in which they use to get it is something that I've never seen in a Godzilla movie,
Mhm.
or at least I don't think they've done that before. But that was so cool. And I know I'm one who always prides or like loves to say how much I love practical effects, but I'm kind of okay that they took a step away from it because I didn't really see any in here. But the use of CG in this was really good.
Yeah.
Really good. I mean, yeah. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, no, it's something tough. I was about to say something else. But yeah, so like there is actually a lot practical in here, but like the CG is really good
There isn't a whole lot practical, but there's a bit of practical.
too.
Mhm.
They balance it really nicely. There's even some you can even tell some miniatures going on, which is a nice.
Oh
touch
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. There's one part in particular that the cinematography in this is also just breathtaking at moments. Like right after the first destruction scene, where we see the main character just kind of screaming in agony in the streets, and you see this like black almost rain or soot start falling down on him, like that whole scene. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
But the boat chase,
yeah,
that boat chase scene though, that totally just reminded me of Jaws because you just see his head sticking out of the water,
Yeah.
and it is huge in comparison.
Yeah, it's like Jaws, except if Jaws was a lot fucking bigger.
And it could like just easily eat a boat.
And they do this great thing. Like, I mean, you've always seen it with Jaws, but like they do a good job of really setting up how he does like the blast. And so when they start foreshadowing that, and it's like, oh shit, and especially towards the end where they're foreshadowing that.
Wait, what? Let's go back. Let's
Eat a boat.
And they do this great thing. Like, I mean, you've always seen it with Jaws, but like they do a good job of really setting up how he does like the blast. And so when they start foreshadowing that.
So you mean like Jaws is good at foreshadowing? That's literally about it. Because Jaws doesn't have anything that foreshadows like they do with the atomic breath.
And it's like, oh shit, and especially towards the end where they're foreshadowing that, and it's like, he gets that blast off, it's gonna be over. And
like, yeah, when I saw that blue light start to glow from underneath the water, I was like, oh, you done fucked up now. Because then I was rooting for Godzilla. It was like, oh, you fucked up. Or it's like, yeah, shoot it. Yeah, that won't piss it off.
And it's also the other thing too is that like they're referring to the Takao scene, but the only reason why I can follow what it is they're saying is because I've seen the movie. Like, I'm not sure how any of this would actually be useful to someone who hasn't seen the movie and may be curious, outside of the fact that, oh, me like YouTuber, therefore they glaze movie, me go see movie because they like.
Yeah. So a fun piece of trivia, because my daughter and I, like, we watched this, we loved it, but at the end of the movie, I leaned over to her and I was like, I'm still not sure why it's called Godzilla -1. And, and she was like, I don't know either. But she ended up looking it up and texting me.
Okay.
Do you know why it's called Godzilla -1?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. Well, then I will just explain it to the audience. So essentially, it's -1 because Japan, I don't know if it saw itself, but it was seen as less than a country, so it was -1. I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Not really the case, considering the fact that like everywhere when the title was first announced, that's because Japan was at a state of 0 and Godzilla's appearance is what brings them into the minus, and that's why it's called -1. But okay, maybe there was like an article and that's what they said, and that's what they're referring to what I'm saying, but like what an article just wrote it differently. That's why it sounds like that.
Yeah.
And to have a bit of accountability from what the Americans did after in World War I, it kind of really set Japan back. So it was, they were already in a rebuilding phase as common countries who are.
Let's go back to that.
Like Japan. To have a bit of accountability from what.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Especially after the war, and to have a bit of accountability from what the Americans did after in World War I, it kind of really set Japan back. So it was, they were already in a rebuilding phase as common countries who are heavy casualties of like war, ground war, and assaults. It's like that. So yes, I do that. But also being a World War II buff. That's
World War II buff, even though mainland Japan was like never actually, mainland Japan was never actually invaded. Okinawa was, but yeah, all of it was the island hopping. Not to mention the fact that what does he mean by like what the Americans did? Like, for a World War II buff, I don't know what you could pull from what he's saying. Like, there's so much probably specific political and like sociological intent he means behind the phrasing he's giving, because like considering America occupied and specifically was trying to bring Japan out of its like being destroyed and being rebuilt, like that's really weird phrasing as to what happened there. Not to mention in the film, there is mention of the Americans and like what America was doing in terms of helping, because Shikishima mentions like supplies for the Americans to help with Akiko, but then also obviously the stuff with MacArthur. But that doesn't make any sense what he just said. And Matt just said, did he just say World War I? I think he said World War II. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but we'll go back.
Also like Japan back. So it
Yeah.
was really, from what the Americans did after in World War One, it kind of really set Japan back. So it
Yeah.
was, they were
Oh,
already in a-
oh wow, you're actually right. I thought he had actually said World War II. You're right, Matt. He did say World War One. It's probably a slip up there, but it's funny because I think he says does he say World War II after? Let's see.
rebuilding phase as
Mhm.
common countries who are heavy casualties of like war, ground war, and assaults. It's like that. So yes, I do that. But also being a World War II buff.
It's a okay. That's just it's a slip of the tongue. I'll give him that. It's a slip of the tongue because he says World War One there, but he meant to say World War II, and he says World War II there. Like I say GXK and GVK when I'm referring to one or the other all the time, so I'm not gonna give him too much like beef for that. Like I'm not gonna get on his case for that, but his explanation makes no sense though.
That's also why.
Mhm.
Which,
Well,
yeah, this one takes place like in the heart of all, like right after World War II, which is something I really enjoyed about it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of the origin because the other like
yeah.
Japanese Godzilla movie I've seen is the 1954 original. That is steeped heavily in World War II and
And this one is-
radiation, the nuclear bombs. Yeah,
And this one was definitely
Yeah, it's Steve very World War II, the nuclear bombs, because it took place in 1954 and came out in 1954. Gee, I wonder why.
heavily influenced from this. I watched a little kind of, I guess not featurette, but just like somebody I found it somewhere on YouTube about the movie where like the director and the writer of it, like he drew like he rewatched that one and like the most recent Japanese ones just to kind of familiarize himself with it. But he drew a lot from the first one to build his own world for this one.
His analysis here also comes across as Yamazaki wasn't a Godzilla fan and like had to research Godzilla when like every interview he's talked about, he's been a Godzilla fan for a long time. Not to mention the fact that the man had made several World War II focused movies that have nothing to do with Godzilla. So he was familiar with the time period. The Always series is a perfect analog. And like even just being like, oh, I read it up on a wiki that he did these movies that also had Godzilla in them, like as a cameo. Like he doesn't even bring that up as like a little bit of trivia. Because Yamazaki was known for the Always series, was known for other World War II focused movies and like about Japanese Reconstruction. So like this was a perfect match for him. But unless like you actually went to someone who was informed or did their research instead of these schmucks, like they said, schmucks, then like you wouldn't know that.
And like the two
Yeah,
most
no, I can
animated
see that.
ones. Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you think he looked? What did you think of the look of Godzilla?
Godzilla, I thought he looked badass. As I call it, it's kind of fat Godzilla again, but it works. Like, yeah,
I of course I think this was after he'd seen Godzilla X Kong, but it's Return to the Fat Godzilla when we had Earth, Shin, and then of course the Monsterverse Godzilla. I don't know what you quite mean by that, sure, but okay. Yeah, the director did make the Godzilla ride as well.
At times, I kind of thought the movement was just a little too like
yeah.
solid.
There,
Like,
there was a weirdness to the movement, especially his arms. I thought were a little
Yeah,
bit
like, kinda
loose
he's just-
sometimes. Yeah,
but I enjoyed it though. Like
Yeah.
that's
You know what? I know you're in the chat, Brayden. If you're still in there, I'm gonna do some domestic smacking there. I know that you're not a big fan of the VFX, but I would say even their like analysis is still lacking because he's doing like this waving arm motion when Godzilla's arms don't even really move too much when he's walking around. So and like even how good old Bobby here does the movement is way faster than how Godzilla is in the movie. But okay.
minor nitpicks. The only other nitpick I have has nothing to do with the movie at all. It just has to do with my viewing experience.
Oh, what happened?
So, I usually will buy I'll see a row, and if like somewhere near the middle seat is open, I'll go to the middle seat so I can have a full clear view of the screen. Now, I know I was going to be reading subtitles, so I went with like a little bit closer row than I normally do. And when I got it, no one was in that row because I went to an early Sunday morning showing.
Mhm.
Right before the lights went down, this family of three just walks in and picks like the 3 seats directly next to me. And I'm thinking, how the hell are you going to buy seats next to the one occupied seat in a row?
Probably because they also wanted to have a similar viewing experience to you because you had similar reasons as to why you wanted to get those seats. So, like, are you really gonna be like, it's ruined them? This is a viewing experience is ruined because people probably did something similar to what I did because that's what I wanted to have a good viewing experience. But whatever.
Minor, like I said, just that's minor, but it's just more like, how the hell are you going to do that?
I will say one thing that surprised me was how full the theater was. So I saw this on a Friday night, and like I assumed there'd be some people there, but like this is actually a decently full theater. I will say it's not like the big theater in the complex, but like there probably was maybe less than 10 open seats.
I went to one of the theaters at the theater by me, the one that has like the big Dolby sound experience and everything, and that
Nice.
roar was so great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but the decent amount of people though. Like, I mean, it wasn't like overly crowded. I still think the most out of this year, I think the most crowded like showing I went to, probably Killers of the Flower Moon.
Really?
Yeah. Because I would say Avatar
think
2, but that was last year.
Yeah, most crowded showing I went to was probably Guardians 3.
That one's fairly packed too.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, as opposed to Avatar 2, this wasn't so bad. It gave me an illness, like Avatar 2.
I like Avatar 2.
It gave me COVID. It was that bad.
I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
No, the movie was that catastrophically bad that enzymes and microbes came from the screen.
But here's I think while we disagree on Avatar 2, I think we both agree on Godzilla.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome movie.
That was
if you have a chance
fucking
to check it out. Yeah.
Go see it. Yeah, and we let me see here. I wanted to see who we're going to spoil it for. Oh, Steven. Yeah, we won't spoil the ending for you. But go check it out. Check it.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, so that was that. A literal big boil of nothing. Like, let's see, I wanted to have it. And oh, hey, not hard to find anymore. It's him. It's a time issue, not an access issue. So it's a time issue because clearly there's other more important things to do, and it's like the only reason why you did this video is because, like you literally said, a bunch of people were talking about the movie, so might as well we talk about it. So, yeah, it's lame. Seeing the movie didn't look real enough. Other comic movies did. But yeah, there go your brain cells, everyone. I'm sorry, I exposed you to radioactive sludge, but. Yeah, so we're going to go into the next video he did, which was on Critical Drinker is right about Godzilla -1. So let's just go. We'll go back to his channel. Because we're just looking at shorts. The truth about EFAP. EFAP, Critical Drinker, and Nerdrotic. EFAP, Critical Drinker. Okay, Critical Drinker. Covering Dave Chappelle, Nerdrotic, alt-right, okay. Critical Drinker and EFAP, Nerdrotic, Disney, Nerdrotic, Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, Adam Friended. Like, it's literally all these are just call outs of other people's stuff. It's not even like interesting insights onto films or certain continuities. Like, the only thing that like kind of may be related to what's it called? Like a actual like series or content wise is this one, but it's just relation to like culture wars, zeitgeist stuff. But gonna watch your little producer during work tomorrow. That video's comments is still a smoldering dumpster fire. The Platoon video isn't the best. However, I think a lot of people wanted to blow it out of proportion so they could have the new dragon to slay. It's really not hard to counter a lot of things he says. There's some things that he says that I agree with in terms of just straight up things about the film. How he goes about everything in the video, I don't necessarily agree with. So that's like my whole thoughts about it. If you want like a short synopsis, but we will go back to Critical Jiggers right on Godzilla -1, and I think let's go to description. April 2nd. Okay, so that was done April 2nd. I just want to see when he did this in relation to the -1 video 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago. So if it's saying it's April 4th. And say it was, April 2nd, April 4th. So literally wanted to do like Critical Trigger's right about Godzilla -1 to fit into like his content style before he even did the video about Godzilla -1 itself, which isn't even a video. It's a excerpt from a podcast where they're talking about other like content stuff. But
other welcome good news too, like Godzilla -1 winning Best Visual Effects, which is fucking hilarious when you consider that it was made for a fraction of the cost of major Hollywood productions. Seriously.
Yeah, Godzilla -1 was a really, really good movie. And it was made for a fraction of the visual effects. Now, when you watch it, you can tell where they saved money. You can very clearly tell where they saved money. That being said, they do it effectively, and it does look good where it needs to.
If that doesn't...
And one sec. Well, so we'll stop here. So this is about where his short is. and that's what's left. And I'll explain why I'm criticizing that here in just a moment.
Encourage studios to start trimming budgets and prioritizing good storytelling and characterization over shallow visual spectacle, then I don't know what will. The only real disappointment for me is that it wasn't nominated for more categories.
Agreed. That feels weird. I feel weird saying that. Yes, agreed. I was shocked Godzilla -1 only got nominated for visuals. It's actually a really fucking good movie. I highly recommend checking it out. Yes.
There was some other welcome good.
So about year to year, doesn't say anything. Playing the video at normal speed. You can play this at 2x speed, still get his point across. And he's like, oh wow, I'm agreeing with Critical Drinker, the person I criticized for like the majority of my shorts. Nothing about this is substantive. He could have probably been like, oh yeah, here's like one example I could think of in the movie where some of the visuals weren't the best, but here's an example where it's really good. So like balancing it out, actually put some substantive thought into like praising or like explaining why this film did so well and is as praised as it is. Why even make a video where you just agree with someone's point? Because it's essentially like an optics thing, because since Critical Drinker is the enemy, it's one of those things where you can be like, oh, you see, like, I'm candid. I actually will give people credit. Here's me giving him credit on something that is pretty much tepid. And then for Doran, it's the way he conducted himself. He flung shit, so you shouldn't be surprised when shit is flung back at him. Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, no, like literally none of this is substantive in any way, shape, or form. So it's like, why do it? And if you look at his channel, there's a pretty like simple reason as to why. We're not doing it again. No, sure. You're not getting another view out of me. The enemy, like they're ancient rivals. Yeah, essentially like they're ancient rivals. Because again, they like consider the fact Critical Drinker, EFAP. I'm gonna lump EFAP Critical Drinker here together. So EFAP Critical Drinker and EFAP Critical Drinker, EFAP Critical Drinker, Nerdotic, Critical Drinker, EFAP. So we'll include Nerdotic in here as well. So that's obviously related to Nerdotic. Nerdotic. It's just optics. There's nothing to like. There's no point to this. Like, it's not even. It's just pure glazing, but without any substance. Like, don't glaze unless like you have something substantial to really offer, because you're not a fan. You're doing it because it like was trending and like was making like waves in terms of videos. But let's do the last one here, which is gonna be their live stream on Godzilla X Kong, X-Men, Star Trek, which I'm only talking about the Godzilla X Kong part. That's why we're so far in already. And if we can go back here, because we'll just go to his lives. So he's like, yeah, we'll see anything else about Godzilla. So Chad Alan Richardson destroys Trump. That gets one whole. That's a whole live stream in and of itself. Fallout, Civil War, and Star Trek Discovery. This whole thing. Something having to do with like Alex Jones or Culture Warrior stuff that gets its own. This one whole thing. A whole thing about Nerdotic gets one whole live stream. It's like almost any like all you have these videos or live streams where like talking about movies it's collaborative, which is fun. Nothing against that, but you're not going to be able to talk about something substantial enough in just like a single hour. And that's why I have to log my streams, because I think like you can gain a lot from having more time spent talking about these things. Literally, Chris Stuckman's drama with Madam Web got 3 hours essentially in and of itself. Same thing with, yeah. And I think like you can go find, I think the -1. Oh no, so it's probably on the other guy's channel then. Those here. What's his name? Yeah, Bobby Course, where it's probably his channel where that bit from the -1 video comes from. So let's go.
So Bobby didn't get around to seeing Godzilla X Kong, you slacker.
His reasons.
This is the best Godzilla movie I've seen since Godzilla -1, which
Since the
was
last Godzilla movie we've
vastly, vastly better. But
He broke the rule, guys. He talked about Godzilla -1 when he's talking about Godzilla X Kong. Therefore, the review bad. Disregard anything he says. Man can never cook again. Imagine talking about -1 and Godzilla X Kong in the same video.
real initial thoughts, I thought this was fine.
Okay.
It was totally fine.
This is on normal speed, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
we're
Like,
not
if you're
doing
looking
it.
for me to be like, oh my god, it's definitely a movie where I don't have a strong emotional connection to it. Like I don't like it. Like technically, I don't have any issue with it. But I will say I can break down this story into 3 parts. There is a King Kong story that is probably the best story, where it's almost silent, but you have Godzilla essentially doing the trying to figure out this mystery in the Hollow Earth. He's finding like evil apes who are just being jerks to him. He's tracking them down, and that's probably the best story. And then you have the second story. Well, my second favorite, which is probably the human story, which is obviously a lot of exposition because they can actually talk and explain stuff with Kong. We're just kind of doing a visual story with him. And that's okay. They do an all right job. I think it's mainly Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, and Dan Stevens, and they're all very capable actors, and they do a good job. And then we have
the Godzilla story, which is Godzilla doing stuff.
Yeah, Godzilla is number 1, not in this actually a whole lot. This is a lot of Kong, which I don't really complain about because I thought Kong Skull Island was underrated. There are issues with that, but I enjoy it. Yeah, the Godzilla story is almost nothing. The Godzilla story is him walking around and getting powers and charging up, and humans explain that that's what he's doing, and then that's it. Like
Basically, the entire time with
Yeah.
Kong, it's like a bunch of people up in airplanes being like, "Oh my goodness, he's beating up Rome! Oh my goodness, he's gonna go and fight that really territorial Titan in the ocean.
yeah,
that
which is like a 2-minute fight.
that has pink energy. Oh my goodness, he is defeating the Titan, and he now has pink energy.
Yeah.
And then it's
That's a whole
that-
Godzilla story.
I did it. I did all of it
Yeah.
for you.
But like with Kong, like we actually can kind of follow motivation. Like he's finding apes, which he's been lonely, so he wants to find apes. But like these apes are assholes and jerks, and he's trying to figure out what the heck, why are these people jerks? And we can follow that, we empathize that, and we're cool. And then Godzilla's just getting powers from creatures, and we're just told that there's this big bad monster coming out, but we don't know anything about it.
Godzilla basically just spends like the most of the movie just like kicking butt for no discernible reason.
And maybe that was done purposely on the filmmaker's part to focus mainly on Kong, because let's face it, Godzilla -1 did just come out, and they might be like, yeah, we don't want to harken back that.
He did it
too much
again.
because-
He did it again, guys. Bring out the
I thought you
pitchforks.
wanted to
He
be
brought up Godzilla -1, which Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire in the same video twice. I mean, doing it once, that's fun phobic in and of itself. Like that's bad, but to do it twice in the same video, that's atrocious. Like that's villain type stuff right there. But yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to focus in too much on Godzilla, it's just going to be like too much. Like people are going to compare it because they came out so near to each other.
Yes.
And you don't want to be compared to Godzilla -1 because it's not going to make you look good.
No.
Oscar
Godzilla
winning.
-1 was insane.
Oscar
yeah.
winning Godzilla -1.
I won't
Up.
say Godzilla -1 was
Man,
nominated in
they're
one
bringing
category.
it so much.
Criminally nominated in one category.
Yes.
Godzilla -1 wasn't just good as like a Godzilla movie good. It was just like good as a movie.
Yes, absolutely.
How many times outside of the fandom and in the fandom have you heard that exact phrase? We'll hear it. We'll do it one more time.
Wasn't just good.
Nominated in one category, and it won it.
Criminally nominated in one category.
Yes.
Godzilla -1 wasn't just good as like a Godzilla movie good. It was just like good as a movie.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It was
Did you know that Godzilla -1 is not just good as a Godzilla movie, but is good as a movie? Like, I know this is riveting. This is deep analysis of the Godzilla franchise. It's not something I've heard dozens of times from other channels already, or even people in this community dozens of times.
nice.
So I guess my review of Godzilla X Kong is just watch Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. He ended his review saying, just watch Godzilla -1. Like, that's worse than comparing it. Like, you're literally just saying, watch -1. And you're saying that's a Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Like, you know it's gospel. You can't do that. Like, it's not something you're supposed to do. Like, it should be incapable legally for you to talk about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire in relation to Godzilla -1. Like, there should be an amendment passed in Congress right now to secure the rights of GXK to ensure that it is never talked about in the same breath as -1.
Well, that's the thing. So when it comes to this franchise, this monster franchise, I think they've done an okay job. Of all these film studios trying to make these big Marvel franchises, I feel like this is probably one of the more successful ones. In that, like, they haven't really crafted that with any of these movies, because most of them open the gate and just shit to that. Tom Cruise's The Mummy comes to mind.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk
We
about
don't
that.
talk
Like,
about that.
Beautiful.
dude,
No.
Dracula Untold sucked, but was somehow way better than Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Well, he wanted to turn that into a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, well, he wanted it to be like a Marvel movie. It's like, no, don't do that.
We're building a franchise, right? It needs to be like Marvel, and I need to
No.
be in a plane that's crashing.
Probably not. But Yeah, so what? I'm trying to remember. So like, there's 2014's Godzilla, which was fine. It was another fine one. There's Kong Skull Island, which I kind of enjoyed, and then there's Godzilla Kingdom Monsters. As I recall, that was decent. It's been a while since I've seen it.
And I don't think he did a Kong review on the channel, but he did do a 2014. Does it sucks or does it? And then he did the review of Kingdom of Monsters. So it's really funny that he did videos on these, but does not remember them at all. It's probably because they were at least big talk in like general nerd culture at the time, so that's why he jumped on the bandwagon to talk about them.
Then we got Kong v Godzilla, and I feel like that and Kong x Godzilla are kind of almost the same quality wise. So I guess if you like versus, this will be kind of more the same.
I've seen like a Godzilla versus King Kong that was fucking great. That actually has 2 different versions.
Oh, he's gonna do it, guys. He says some objectively incorrect information that you could find anywhere and be proven wrong about.
But I haven't seen that many. So
It's the older ones back when it was a guy in a suit.
The
Now,
Toho
like,
ones.
the one that was released here in the States, King Kong one. The one that was released over in Japan, Godzilla one. Because they can't have their boy losing.
We'll round that back just for you guys.
That actually has 2 different.
This will be
I don't
kind
know,
of more
man.
the same.
I've seen like a Godzilla versus King Kong that was fucking great. That actually has 2 different versions.
But I haven't seen that many. So
It's the older ones back when it was a guy in a suit.
The
Now,
Toho
like,
ones.
the one that was released here in the States, King Kong one. The one that was released over in Japan, Godzilla one. Because they can't have their boy losing. That's the one also where Kong got super drunk off the berries.
Nice. But yeah, judging from the American ones, like I said, like Godzilla minus one was only my.
I love the fact that he talks about the two endings for the literal myth at this point that's been debunked for years. He brings that up, and what does Bob do? Bob's just like, yeah, okay, okay, yeah. I haven't seen them. Just judging from the American ones, it's like having objectively incorrect information there being told to you, and as a fan, like if I was a fan of his channel and he just said that, it comes across as so ill-informed for the content you're going to be discussing. Like, don't bring that up as like a discussion point when that is so objectively wrong, and it's been wrong and known to be wrong for years at this point.
Second of the Toho Godzilla movies I've actually seen.
Oh, so
Godzilla 1954.
yeah, so
Actually,
so for context, guys, and Doran said, Doran said it best. Taurus detected. Literally, the only 2 Godzilla movies he's seen there, the Japanese ones, are 54 and -1, and then he's seen all the American ones. That we'll replay it back for you guys.
Nice. But yeah, judging from the American ones, like I said, like Godzilla minus one was only my second of the Toho Godzilla movies I've actually seen.
What's your first?
Godzilla 1954.
Okay, got it.
Which is actually,
Yeah.
I can't stress it's not a 100% decent movie. Yes, the effects are dated, but like it's a really
still
good
good.
movie.
It's
Yeah,
really good.
I cannot recommend it enough.
Almost as good as the monster from Prehistoric Planet.
We don't talk about Monster from Prehistoric.
Ooh, we're talking smack about Gappa the Trifibian.
From Prehistoric Planet is beautiful, Father. It's art.
Yeah, it's got like the chicken lizard, man.
She liked to watch Great Trash with me sometimes.
I do like to watch Great Trash. It's yes.
So yeah, like I guess I don't have any like. I thought this was fine. This was a fine movie. Yeah, I don't have anything really huge to say about it. I liked the Kong stuff. And then the human stuff was fine. And then the Godzilla stuff was kind of forgettable. But, we can't not have Godzilla in a movie called Godzilla x Kong, where he's pretty much the lead in the title.
I mean, we could just be goofy for a little bit if you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
We could just be goofy if you don't know what to say.
You want to be goofy?
We could be goofy. We could be goofy.
Oh, okay. Well,
Let's be goofy.
okay, what do you want to be goofy with?
Was there anybody who was way too into the movie when you saw it? Like cheering?
Like,
yeah!
I didn't notice anything like that.
No.
To be honest with you, it just kind of seemed. Every now and then I noticed someone, having a good little chuckle. But, like besides that, it's pretty silent in the movie theater.
Yeah. So unlike the title, they never ship.
Yeah,
They never hook up. It's very disappointing.
I know. Before we went, you were like, "You want to see Godzilla X Kong?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, is it actually called Godzilla X Kong?" I had to explain shipping terminology.
Yeah,
No,
I didn't know that. I
with
assumed it meant
business
crossover, but yeah.
Yes, it does mean crossover, and I'm certain that's what they mean because that's more of like the business way to like indicate a crossover is put an X between the two things. And Godzilla and Kong are basically brands at this point.
Mhm.
I would argue.
And,
I don't know if they're technically brands, but they're basically brands. They're brands in many of the ways that matter.
Yeah, they've been brands for years, decades even.
But you see, when you put an X between like two like fictional characters' names, that often means that you're shipping them. And so, obviously, I had to watch the movie from that perspective because, like, when you name a movie that's the only perspective that you can watch it in.
Chef?
What's that called? Shipping and the gooning that has come from it have been a disastrous have created disastrous effects upon the human race. That's all I have to say about that. Don't goon, folks. Just never goon. Don't goon even once.
I've had bowel movements better than Roland Emmerich's Godzilla from 1998. I'm just gonna say it. That was atrocious, man.
I mean,
That is a low bar.
like
I guess I probably haven't seen that.
Hank Azaria was in there and he tried to save that
Oh
movie.
no,
I love the fact where he's like, bro, Hank Azaria tried. The only thing that he can bring up about 98 to fill air is just being like, Hank Azaria, man.
they have some very talented actors in there, but oof. I love the baby Godzillas that totally aren't ripping off the Raptors. at the end.
Totally aren't Raptors.
Yeah, that was
Totally aren't
great.
Raptors.
But
Yeah, those guys can open doors.
cool. But yeah, Godzilla X Kong. I guess like if you're wondering if you should go see it, I'd say if you've been enjoying the Monsterverse so far, yeah, go check that. Go check it.
I mean, the romance is palpable.
But yeah, if you're not super engaged with this Monsterverse, I don't know. Go watch Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. That was underrated. You know?
Yeah, I would agree.
Was that the one that you saw?
Yeah.
I like wasn't.
And that's about it. That is all substantial content that Organized Chaos has to say about Godzilla, because then he hasn't reviewed any of the other movies. He doesn't really have anything important to say about them. Had literal misinformation about the franchise just bleated out on an episode of his podcast, and all he did was sit there because he's not informed enough to actually talk about it in any meaningful way. So, like, the question is just why? Like, why talk about it? Like, just continue to talk about how people's like Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, et cetera, are just bad, and they're grifters, and they're this and they're that. Like, talk about that instead of like wasting time trying to chase the trend of Godzilla -1, or talk about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, which is getting a lot of attention because of -1 being so close to it. So yeah, I hope I did not destroy your brain cells too much. John knows that's the best part of 98. He's the best part. There's still a lot of, there's a world building wise, there's a lot wrong with Jean Reno, but in terms of the actual actor in the movie, yeah, no, he's fun. He's fun in that movie. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a generous man, and we're gonna take some more questions, talk about a few more things, and I'm gonna throw the link to the stream itself into the Discord. So I will do this right here. If you guys are not in the Discord, I would recommend that you join the Discord, because one, at least you can talk to me more, because I'll like that centralized, and I check it because it's my Discord. So if you want to chat or do something, or just chat with a bunch of like-minded people, there's room for that. But yeah, so I will throw in, obviously the link's always in the description for the Discord, but I'm going to throw it here in the chat as well. But I will throw the invite to the StreamYard room here, so that if anyone is interested, they'll be able to join and just talk about what we just witnessed via StreamYard and the Discord. But while we discuss that, I'm going to do some more drawings, and if you guys got any more questions, I will be able to answer them. So we'll sit down, have some fun. Oh, there we go. Very good question. Do you think Godzilla works better as a hero or a villain? I mean, it's like, I know someone just said something about 98 real quick. I think Mario was best character. The actor was great. I was fucking bad from as the military keeps blowing up a city. Yeah. For a movie that wants to be what if this happened and Godzilla was around in the real world, they do not do a good job of that. I mean, you did not need me to tell you that. A nice man. I hope you had fun. Pew pews and stuff, obviously, can kind of hurt, hamper channels and all that. So I would ask, you can DM me or something and let me know what it is you were pew pewing today, because I was hearing what people like to use, or what they do have in their collections. But Godzilla as a hero or as a villain? I think Godzilla just naturally fits better as a protagonist, not protagonist. Sorry, Godzilla works better as an antagonist because ultimately, like, Godzilla's origins are that he is an antagonistic force, and I think that there's a lot that you can get that is substantial from Godzilla having him be a villain. And I think in terms of keeping things consistent with the character, you don't lose as much by turning him into you lose more turning him into a hero. You don't lose as much when you make him a villain, regardless of like origins. Like Zimcast is a good example of that. Yeah, no, that's wrong. That's worst character in the movie, actually. New pump action I picked up was testing it out with slugs. Oh, nice. I don't have any shotties. I just have riffles and pistols. So, but I think like even as I'm working on 2 Godzilla projects, one's a little smaller than the other, and the other, like the more big Godzilla thing I'm working on is I have Godzilla as a villain because I think like even like because of the fact that Godzilla is gonna be fighting against humans, you get more character arcs, more things about like their feelings about a lot more diverse topics when Godzilla is an antagonist versus when Godzilla is a hero, because there's a bit more safety in Godzilla being a hero just in universe for people. So a lot of what you're going to deal with is, since Godzilla's a hero, he's going to be fighting another monster, and the focus is going to shift from Godzilla to the new monster. Or if Godzilla is still an antagonist, then in most cases we see the monster has a like direct link to Godzilla. Like Bylon's a really good example of that. PvPs don't make it cool, but they are fun. Bio, you are correct, sir. And we got someone else in the chat, and it is Zavek.
Hey, what's up?
The ceiling, just kind of chilling, enjoying life. Well, yeah. So you survived some organized chaos. Was it as organized and as chaotic, therefore being contradictory as you assumed it would be?
I don't know much about organized chaos. Like, I guess it's obvious that he doesn't really know too much about like the history of the franchise, considering that he gets some like details wrong. From mentioning like some like already like long debunked facts and like trivia and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I don't think it's as bad really as anything.
I think the thing is that the problem I have is that he purports himself to be like someone who's trying to save fandoms, make fandoms better, and be like a true like place for like fandom discussions and things of that sort. To get stuff so wrong or to like say so little about a topic speaks to the fact that it's a variety grifts essentially. And I hate using the word because so many people, even people that I am more cool with. Yes, I am referring to you, Rick. I think that word is so overused and so meaningless now. But I think sometimes the shoe will fit, and in the case of Sir Chaos of Organized, it does fit. And Sea Monsters, how do you do, good sir?
I am doing pretty good. I mean, I'll probably stick around for at least like about an hour.
Okay, that's cool. I know generally, like I was gonna make this a pretty short stream anyway, so
All right.
it was don't expect for any of you in the audience. Don't expect a long man. I realized my mistake with Platoon's video being so long as it was.
Yeah. As far as like what we've witnessed tonight, like I honestly was expecting like something like a lot lot wilder as far as like, you know, potential, like just kind of, you know, just like the glazing and all that, and just like basically echoing what everyone else is saying. But yeah, it's like probably, it's just like, it's like every like sort of like positive that you could name for the movie, but without like any of the substance, like no flavor whatsoever, just add water, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and yeah, as far as like, you know, him taking jabs at 98, it's like, unless you have actually something substantive to say about like the Godzilla franchise as a whole, don't do the cheap shots at 98. As tempting as it may seem, pretty much.
As 98's resident most biggest hater in the galaxy, you do not get to hate on 98 just by the fact that like we hate 98. You don't get to use that word. That's our word.
Yeah, like I don't even personally hate 98, but I definitely consider it to be pretty terrible as far as Godzilla movies go.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say I hate it, but like I'm not a fan of it, like at all. That I've never minced words about that, but
right.
I do find it to be annoying when people will glaze hate 98 because it's the easy thing everyone knows that Godzilla fans don't like. So it's like, stop. Please do not.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would say like it's a movie that I liked more when I was younger than I do now. I can certainly attest to that. I'm not sure if anyone like saw the comments about what I said, like what I thought was the best character in that movie. I actually said like Mayor Ebert was the best character. Like
the guy does a good job. Like the actor does a really good job.
Yeah, the actor was great. Like he actually like there was like I probably got more laughs from him than anything. You know, and which is kind of weird. Like that he's supposed to be like a parody of like Ebert, but really it's like you made like the only character who was like talking sense throughout that whole movie, and just like calling the military out for just being like completely incompetent beyond words in that film.
It's funny because like I think that when like Siskel and Ebert ended up actually reviewing the film, they were like, "Yo, we were expecting to get squashed, and that was the best you could do."
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you were that spiteful towards like independent, them not liking your movies, like you should have like
Gano actually got had some have some self-respect, have some balls, I guess, and like just gone all in and been like, yeah, you know what, Siskel and Ebert, if you like my film so much, why don't I just put you in my movie? So now I am the Chad and you're the Soy Jack, and I have Godzilla crush you. Like at least gone in that hard, and like that would have been funny. People probably would have resonated with that. I think a lot of people would have remembered that. So,
if Godzilla had stepped on Audrey, that would be a huge step up. And if Nick Patopoulos like got with the redhead, like that would have.
You mean like actually develop chemistry that like they kind of do or don't in the series, and then actually get rid of like a superfluous character who does very little of importance in the film and ultimately is the villain of the story? Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, what I would my suggestion would be to where it's like you're not where like an animated series where you do that isn't required necessarily. Just kind of like maybe not have the problem in the movie in the first place. But oh well, I guess you can take what you get.
You take what you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, Organized Chaos. Yeah, what can we even say about that?
What can be said in regards to slop? Besides, it is slop. It is the white bread of criticism.
Yeah, it's like it's basically the guy who got chewed out on a debate with Eric July talking about why Godzilla -1 is great, even though he says like everything that you pretty much would have heard from just about anybody else on the interweb at the time, except for Sean Chandler for some reason.
Sean Chandler.
Oh, or is it Adam Does Movies? Which one was it? Was the guy who infamously didn't like -1?
That was Adam Does Movies. Yeah.
Okay, Adam does movies. All right, sorry, Sean. Sorry, Sean Chandler. You're off the hook.
You were about to frame a man for something he did not commit at all. You were about to throw him under the bus. Like, I could feel the intent behind that. You were like, I was revving up for something.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, Sean.
Bro's like, he's like, okay.
Leave me out of this.
He's like, yeah, it's like, bro, okay, if you're gonna use my back as like a knife holster, okay.
Sean, you be like, leave me out of this.
I didn't do anything.
It's that Adam guy. Go after him. He's the one who did it.
That always reminds me of that one scene from Red versus Blue when they're like, when Tucker gets all like the stuff in the teleport on him, they're like, there he is, get him. No, man, I'm a blue. What are you doing? Leave me alone. But
yeah.
And I think like it's a natural side effect of the fact that as Godzilla gets more popular, more mainstream, you're just gonna have like variety like culture channels talk about Godzilla, and since obviously very few of them are actually familiar with the franchise, and none of them are gonna actually put time into researching like the franchise at all, because time is money.
Yeah.
Or they just are like, their channel is built for one thing, and in OrganizedChaos's case, it is talking about like Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, EFAP, and all those guys, instead of like deep discussions about whatever it is they're actually like talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
But
So I'm not sure if any of you guys had the chance to watch my fellow Sea King Cianimus's most recent video talking about Little Platoon.
I've seen some of it. I was watching it intermittently between a few other things before I started the live stream. So I was familiar with some of it, but not like I haven't watched all of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, considering that I caught like the second, probably like about the second half of Blue Platoon's video, by joining on your stream for that.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fascinating, just like seeing what Cianimus was like reacting to, which was like basically the preamble that was like 9 minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
and where Platoon was essentially just was just coming at like fans and audiences pretty much in a very like in a way that's like very dismissive about it, the whole thing. It's like,
what I will say is that as audience members, what you do put your money towards will affect what studios do pump out. I think there is truth to that. However, like obviously Platoon does not care about like the franchise at all, so it's not really like he was like trying to get like more fans on board or discuss it with the people who do like this film. It was very much like, oh, let's get some edgy comedy out there for something. Like obviously it's not something that we like, so we're not going to put too much stock in it and try to leave it there. Because like I think like almost anyone who's a fan and does not like Godzilla X Kong is probably going to have more substantial criticisms than Platoon does, and that's just by nature of the fact that they're fans. But I think ultimately, I think he should have just done a different video, because I don't think that he needs like pointers from me about like getting an audience or reputation, but I think like it would have probably saved him the trouble or like any of the patience that he's losing with people right now. So I'm not sure if he's still going at it with people in his comment section. I've heard apparently he is, but yeah. Like I don't know if that's your prerogative, do it. But I just, in my opinion, I'm not really I wouldn't want to do like stuff on YouTube that I don't have like an interest or passion in. So
yeah,
why would I?
Yeah, the best thing that he could do at this point is just kind of be like, okay, I kind of realized that, this video was pretty, may have like, rustled a few too many feathers pretty much with my GXK video. So
the jimmies were definitely rustled.
Yeah. Like I would say, like there was definitely like different approaches that he could have done. Let's just say, it's just the fact that apparently like that preamble like was like 9 minutes. Like it's kind of like, dude, it's like get to the point already. It's like, yeah, we get it. You're not a fan of the Monsterverse. You've seen -1, and you're just basically saying what everyone else says, which is about how good -1 is. And you're saying the same stuff of like, oh, we should expect better from the Godzilla franchise, which, because based on how good -1 was, which to a degree I can see understand the sentiment pretty much, but at the same time, it just like this just doesn't belong in the video. Like it like just kind of get to the point. If you are just gonna be like trying to like make the video just to put because GXK, Godzilla, whatever it's trending, movie's popular, it's pretty new, it's people are.
Well, I think like he wanted to like the only reason why he did the video is because he needed like content because he was working on a Dune video that was taking more time. So like at that point, it's sort of like just do shorts or something or anything that doesn't make it come across as like incredibly just like clickbaity isn't the word I think I want to use. The word is however escaping me at the moment, unfortunately. But Jordan says it the best. My problem with the Taurus and Riff Raff coming in, I don't even like those culture war channels. I get nothing out of their contents. Yeah, I mean like I would say like I'm probably gonna have to. I'll probably do a stream out of it one day to go over like all of the quote unquote grifter Godzilla videos that like everyone else will use is like be like, look at these thumbnails and like these are the channels where I'm talking about Godzilla content, because I know Kaiju Canuck and I think Mike Monsters showed them show like a few videos that I'm probably gonna want to at least look at to talk about, because they both use the G word. So I always want to dissuade people of using such foul language in a child-friendly Christian Minecraft server.
Yeah. I think Platoon's video did two things wrong. I think it was poorly researched and didn't have much effort. And I think it does the thing that that you say, because then you will always say something like just because we have criticism of a film, like they shouldn't take those criticisms personally, or it doesn't say anything about the people who may like it. I think Platoon's video very much goes after the people who would find enjoyment in it, like constantly referring to like anyone who likes it as idiotic or brain dead throughout the video.
Yeah, I think like the other thing too is that like I'm not against that. I'm not against that kind of language in terms of banter. Like I think sometimes going a little bit in the mud and kind of going rah is fine, but like obviously like the people he's speaking as to are like not his friends. It's obviously very parasocial, so it's not going to come across as friend talking to you and saying that to you. It's some stranger who is trying to be informative saying that to you, so it's obviously gonna come across differently. So yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but even then, it's not like when when my Godzilla versus King Ghidorah video comes out, it's not going to be like where like if you like this movie, you're a brain dead moron, with no good taste in film. Like I would never like that. Like I would never say that. Yeah,
I would. I'm just kidding now.
But I would just kind of be like, look, I have very valid reasons as to why I don't think that this is a movie that should stand as like what would be considered the golden standard of Godzilla movies, what the franchise has to offer. And here's why. And I hope you folks, we're watching it would, be compelled enough to at least hear me out. I would have I would have done like some checks and balances of like addressing, about addressing the audience in a way where it's like I'm clearly in the offensive somewhat, but not like so hard onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say.
As well as I think like the problem too is that outside of like the Eileen comments, it's very clear that like certain things he's saying is referring to like interactions that they've had before, and I think that that's fine, but then like at least kind of come with like direct evidence, because then like you have to infer the back and forths and the context behind like the interaction to infer the point. Like the Jurassic World comments is like, and this is like what people said to defend Jurassic World, which yeah, fair. Jurassic World is not, the Jurassic World series as a whole is not that well written, but like I don't know the meta behind all the Jurassic World movies, so like I don't know exactly what these people have said, but you're trying to say that they're similar. You're gonna have to do the effort to actually like explain this to me. And I think that's like it's the same issue with what's it called, with Organized Chaos, where like neither of them are putting the effort into this, because obviously they aren't fans, they don't care about it, and there's other things to focus on.
Yeah, and you could kind of you pretty much said like this, that his GXK video was clearly like made as like a placeholder or something to like fill in.
In the video he even says that he had a Dune video he's working on along the way, but it was stopped.
And there's one of the pretty obvious tells of why about this being the case without him outright saying that, I'm making this, because I'm very busy, because my Doom Part 2 video is taking longer than anticipated. It's when, and C Animus also points it out, when he says that the Monsterverse had been like a disaster, but a total disaster, like just outright. Basically just a general blanket statement about that. But then he goes on to say, okay, maybe Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island, those weren't disasters. But even though you just made that blanket statement saying the Monsterverse is a disaster,
it's like a question of like why even then like make the qualifying statement then.
Yeah, and it's like, so 2 out of the 5 movies in this series aren't disasters, but you're considering the whole thing as a disaster, and those 2 things are part of that whole thing.
Yeah. Real quick, just to highlight it. Kaiju Canuck is a chill dude. He's chill. I know I do have some like issues. Not personal issues. It's just like how like he feels about conducting things and like his approach to like fandom and stuff. I don't necessarily always have I don't see eye to eye with him on all things. The entire thing was a disaster except 2/5 of it.
Yeah. That's the thing.
With Kaiju Canuck, he's said before, because I watched a lot of his videos and I'm a fan of his. He said himself that he's not like a part of like the super deep analytical side of the fandom. He's more of just like a casual enjoyer of it.
He's also more like figure focused too. Like that's his sort of like niche. But
yeah,
sorry, continue.
No, that's all.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
I think like this sounds super fucking drama-y, but very much connects of like he's one of the people who's very much of the opinion of the like what you like type thing, but also is like very much against like negativity and stuff. But it's like if there is disagreement in the fandom, then naturally there will be some kind of negativity, because you're going to have tempers clashing in relation to what people see as quality, what people see as like enjoyable. I think that like to some degree, I think he can like conflates that with like toxicity. And I don't think like what you like necessarily engenders good discussion. I think in a lot of ways it oftentimes stifles discussion. And like I'd say that like sure, then if like what you like sort of your thing, then like do that, but like a lot of people then to keep actually being analytical and talk about these things more deeply.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things of like, it's one thing to kind of be like, well, I like GXK, but I acknowledge that it has problems. But it's kind of another thing to just be like, well, I like GXK, but I don't want to, step on anyone's toes who doesn't like it, so I'm not going to elaborate any more than that or something.
I get my toes stepped on all the time at work. So you know what? I step on everyone's toes.
I'll step on everyone's toes to defend GXK.
But
yeah,
I say like probably the one thing that at least is in my mind right now is I do not in any way, shape, or form envy the man who is going to have to follow up -1, because that bar has been set so tremendously high from both fans and non-fans alike that unless it's Yamazaki like working on something, everyone's gonna be like, yo, bro, you're here instead of Yamazaki. How dare you stand where he stood?
How dare you stand where he stood?
Yeah, because everyone is wanting like a -1 sequel, or just even him just to do another Godzilla movie, and if it isn't a direct sequel. And
yeah,
I know the guy had a deal, I forget what deal he made with something Western related. So I think he might start doing some work here in America. And then I know he and another filmmaker talked to the Japanese prime minister about like the working conditions in relation to the film industry. So the man's been like, after -1, it's been a victory lap, and he has not missed like essentially at all.
Yeah, I definitely don't envy whoever is going to be tasked with doing the sequel to -1, especially if they have to answer like certain questions of like what's going on with Noriko's neck, with all that black stuff on her, and how did she survive all that? Is that black stuff even related to Godzilla?
Well, I think that probably Yamazaki's gonna do a sequel to -1, but if we don't get a sequel to -1 directly, and we have to have someone fill in so that we can get one, I'm like, bro, good luck.
Yeah. There's gonna be questions. There's questions, that the ending of -1 leaves open for a sequel to pretty much answer. Unless they were to have it just be like it's a movie that do a movie that focuses on a whole new set of characters, but with that is still ultimately a sequel to -1 because it acknowledges events from that movie, and we just don't really, and we pretty much find out from a different perspective entirely what was going on with Noriko, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
-1 raids again, or what's it called? Instead of -1 raids again, just raids again. Raids again is finally the first Godzilla movie title to be attributed to another Godzilla movie besides King of the Monsters, or Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to see what other Godzilla stuff happens in the future. I know there's stuff happening in April, I believe, so we'll see what comes out of that. Apparently there may be a live action series that's gonna be coming out in soon, so we'll see what that's about, whether that means we get an Ultraman style Godzilla tokusatsu show. That'd be cool, but I'm not holding my breath.
Right.
But rule, what's it called? Moral of the story, kids: don't be in organized chaos, because it's a literal walking contradiction.
Exactly. And and don't be organized chaos, because otherwise you would try to you would pretty much, for the sake of your audience, would try to respond to a 6-hour video, knowing full well that it's a 6-hour video on Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, but then just bailing out, and even just actively and otherwise, and you will also potentially try to find a way to make someone like Mueller look bad, pretty much, just by seeing if he says anything about America Chavez having 2 mothers.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Is the looking for bigot line. Yeah.
Yeah, the funniest thing about that is even the people in Organized Chaos's chat is someone there is all so you just singled out this particular point just to see if he said anything about the 2 moms. There's people in his chat who are just being dude, really?
Bruh.
Bruh.
Is literally bruh.
Bruh.
But and I think the other thing too is that because Chaos's video is so tepid, and it's not Godzilla destroys woke Hollywood, XX Live leaks, blah 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 blah. There's no Kaiju Canuck, no Rick the Squirrel, no Mike's Monsters, no or anyone on Twitter or whatever is gonna actually talk about the video, because all it is just glazing, and because toxic positivity is I think the biggest problem I think fandoms are facing is toxic positivity more than anything else. No one's gonna say this is pointless. If you're not a fan, just don't try to jump on the trend.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing OrganizedChaos go from isn't Synthetic Man. Honestly, I'd say I've heard rumblings. I would say probably Chaos is still worse, because Synthetic Man is I've watched I remember I was subbed for a bit. I'm not sure if I still am, but I remember he was very critical of games and stuff, and then it went off the deep end, and I'm oh, okay.
Yeah,
I remember he reviewed a game called, I think it was Sable. It was a small little indie game. This is kind of interesting. That's how I got into his channel. I was I wonder if he did other stuff like that, which really wasn't the case. And yeah, but the other issue, the one thing at least I'll say about Synthetic Man is that all it is just him giving his opinions on content. And as wrong as they may be, at least they're his opinions. It's not he's continually making all of his content about fishing for what other people have said, because that just comes across as more just snaky, in my opinion.
And
it's not even I'm sorry. It's it's not even in the case of EFAP or myself or anyone else who responds to other people's content. It's just sort of I'm gonna try to look for something that makes them look bad, and then make that the entire point of a video or a short, or even addressing the claims, or doing media analysis. It just comes across. It's just lame and weak to me.
Yeah. To bring up to kind of respond to give a reply to about Synthetic Man. So I don't know if you've seen EFAP's coverage on his coverage.
God of War.
God of War Ragnarok, yeah. I mean, even as somebody who has never played God of War, pretty much, I can tell you, some of the stuff that Synthetic Man has said, during his playthroughs, it's kind of wild, and to put it mildly. And
I'm not a big fan of Ragnarok or even God of War 4, but there's other things where I'm that's kind of a reach.
Yeah, he's playing the game, but he's not actually playing it. He's not actually fully engaging with it, or even just he's just talking about how the story's bad, or how the the gameplay's bad, and saying like that the game's not all that gory, but then Mauler just like shows like this compilation of like all the brutal Mortal Kombat style kills that you could do in that game. It's just like kind of like objectively, Synthetic Man's just wrong.
There's a lot that like I can say to criticize Ragnarok about. However, I would also say that like most of my criticisms would be purely based off like story and stuff, because I had the first one, God of War 4, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the story, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the gameplay either. But like I would have to say, like, if I had to do a review, I'd have to preface like, hey, so like this is my experience with this and that before like I even dared to do like a review of that sort, because like I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to anyone who would be like watching my content to be like, this guy's clearly an expert in God of War when I am the farthest thing from it. But at least like I have a passing interest.
Yeah. And as far as like just kind of like trying to decide between Synthetic Man and Organized Chaos is like the worst of the two extremes, pretty much that you can get. It's like it gets really tough to really decide like which one is like worse between the two. Like even with the two just being like seemingly pretty much on opposite sides of the spectrum.
They're opposite sides of the spectrums, yeah, but it's sort of like they're both bad for like very similar reasons.
Yeah, they're very bad for very similar reasons. Like Synthetic Man just kind of like says like wild shit that is like so crazy that like there's times where you can almost kind of laugh at it, before even if it's like a nervous laugh, would
it's like a
but then as it just goes along, it just kind of gets worse and worse, and it kind of becomes kind of fucked up with some stuff he says. Organized Chaos isn't even funny. Like he's just kind of he's like
that's it.
Like, he's not saying anything. He's just saying, I don't like this. I don't like this. Dude, it's just fiction.
If it's just fiction, then why care so much about responding to other people's stuff?
Here's the thing: when he said GXK was just all right, I almost just wanted to be like, why are you saying it's just okay, dude? It's fiction.
Bro, it's just fiction.
Bro, it's just fiction.
It's okay, man.
Yeah.
It's not gonna hurt you.
Fiction's not gonna hurt you.
Unless it's a book. In that case, it can be thrown at you, which then it can't hurt you.
And John Wick used a book, like he can really hurt you with that.
Exactly. I saw him kill a man with a book. Yeah. A book. Yeah. Who does that?
I know, right?
But
reading Rainbow, motherfucker.
The more you know. All the colors of the rainbow. I am home. Yeah, so all your 2-time wheeling and dealing is done, so give me the cut from the goods that you sold off, and yeah, okay. And then I promise I won't give you the 1950s treatment because my dinner's cold, okay?
So Vic, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm
just admiring Zim's work here.
Yeah.
Me literally just like going like tail.
Yeah.
I like that, but no.
I like the coil up you had going.
That's the thing is that I like it too, but then I use it for so many other things. So I'm like, I need it.
I use that oftentimes too.
I need it's sometimes you gotta have a different arc. You gotta go different places.
Yeah.
Why not try arcing it towards the camera?
Yeah.
Like going up still.
I could do it up, but like, do you mean like up this way?
Something like that, but not that high.
Yeah. Because, like, at least what I'm thinking is that it can use the plates on the back to like curl and like conduct electricity that way. So I want something to like show the curl, but because I can do this just fine, like that works. The thing I'm just thinking of in my mind is that when I do the plates, they're gonna end up. It can work. It can work. What I'm probably gonna have to do, because I'm basing it off of a sketch that I did in like a small notebook I had that someone gave to me as a present, and the body was far more hunched. Because it was like the body was like a lot closer like this in terms of its hunch. Probably actually a little bit more, but and the issues that you get to something like that, I'm like, eh. I should do like, and then also just all it means is that
Kind of make a tangent with the forearm and the knee, though.
What'd you say?
A little bit of a tangent with the knee and the forearm there.
What do you mean by tangent?
Isn't that like when they come a little close together and it makes it hard to read a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah. Well, again, I also know is that in the sketch that I did, like the body was closer to like something like this, which does work better. Like it can read. It reads fine. All I'll probably be doing is because if what I do is I put this about here.
Yeah.
At least I can move the neck this way, though. Is another thing.
Is this closer to a neutral pose, or is he like hunching over? Like just
what I'm thinking
like
is I am probably gonna have to extend the body out more because the idea is that there can be a they can go from 4 legs to 2 legs, because at least that's the allure. So if anyone is like wondering what I'm doing, since like I really love my retro dinosaurs, a lot of like the art I do is either doing creatures or characters with similar vibes to retro dinosaurs, and like the big dinosaur that's like right there in the back is the vintage interpretation of Stegosaurus, which off the top of my head I don't remember all the story about. I just do know that at one time it was called Diracodon, and it's very it's a striking vintage interpretation similar to like the Crystal Palace dinosaurs. So it's sort of like doing like character design that is pulling from such a interesting milestone paleontologically. And then also I liked obviously name says it right there, Maragaya, which is I think a Chinese species of Stegosaurus, but the reason why I'm using it as a reference is because of its super long neck, which is similar to that of Diracodon. So I'm like, yeah. Who's Nate? I'm Nate. Yeah, so like it's really funny because people will go from Nate to Zim in the same whole conversation, and I just respond to both. And people will probably be like wondering, who are they talking to? Because I have people who know me as Nate or know me as Zim. So yeah.
The more you know.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Or dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, dun 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 dun. I'm sorry, Link. I don't take credit. Why don't you come back when you're a little richer?
My boy.
You know what? You know exactly where you can get in here is, so why don't you put in the effort and get in here yourself? You're in the server, you lazy bum. Wait a second. It's you're lazy. You appear online. You're like, so you know, I'll do my job for you. You can get in here. I'll tag you in it. So there you go. You can enjoy. At least see Monsters had the decency to DM me, and then check the Discord to realize that there was a link there.
Actually, to be fair, I sent you the message, and I just realized, oh yeah, I could just press the link to the Discord and just go right there, and boom, there it is.
Boom, there it is, and boom goes the dynamite. Oh, by the way, Zim, I got another Kaiju tournament going on right now. It's currently in round 2, and it's going crazy. Yeah, no, I saw some of the debate stuff going on. I've seen the art, obviously, and that. So, yeah, definitely check out the what's it call it? The tournament that he's doing. I think it's on your Bio Battles Instagram, right? DM me the Instagram. I think it's that one. And I'll put it in the chat for everyone. But yeah, there's art there. But the cool thing is obviously everyone's stories and the writing. Those are the most interesting part, I'd say. The tournaments are always that. I was right. My memory isn't fading. I'm not going senile. As they say, 40 is the new 35. Yeah, that I think. Oh, actually, no. What I can do is do. Because actually, that works better because then at least I don't have to draw as much of the foot that way. But then I can also change up that leg there. Because then it I can have the pose look a little bit more like he stood kind of essentially eyes. I'm still on my eraser. God. Sort of a. That's bad. Sort of eyes are facing that way kind of pose. If that makes sense. So yeah, no, at least the tail solved it. Beating my head maybe. No, that just made you forgetful, not senile. Maybe it did make you go senile. I mean, smacking around a geriatric is sometimes it's fun.
Oh no.
You literally replied to me, and you're not even in the StreamYard yet. You literal fucking bum. And if anyone can guess where this song is from, that will at least let you kind of know what my other interests are besides kaiju. You mean they're being like you, Brayden? Like father like earphones, I guess. I'm thinking that if I do this. Kind of works, but the angle is still off a little bit, unfortunately.
And so this guy's more plantigrade than digigrade here, right?
Yeah, just specifically because of that structure there on Diracodon is primarily why I wanted to have it be more plantigrade, yeah. which
I would try to
probably
bend the lower leg a little further back, maybe.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking because it's gonna be kind of something closer to like this or that.
At least the lower half of the leg, I think, more so.
Yeah. Oh look, he's finally here. Brayden, are you in here?
I feel like I'm in a Skyrim tavern.
This is Morrowind,
Oh, he's gone.
No, I kicked him.
back.
That is, I feel absolutely offended. This is literally why all the abuse was exceptionally not just needed, but also justified.
You know, I would say that the reason I can't read is because of it, but I still couldn't read before.
That's why I picked you.
Ooh.
That's why you couldn't. That's why, like, I knew you wouldn't be saying things like gaslighting and parasocial relationships or BPD and PTD.
Hold on, I'm googling something.
Oh God. I just realized what's it called? What's that actually? You on, Brandon? How about next time I'll actually put on Skyrim music so then at least I don't feel as bad when I hit you. Oh wait, no.
Okay.
That means actually I'd still not feel bad regardless, but details.
I've never touched Morrowind. I go through like a random it's like every year and a half to 2 years a random autistic Skyrim phase where I just play Skyrim, and it's not even like the re-release. It's like the OG on the 360,
60 or the Xbox or like the PlayStation. Yeah.
Just a Skyrim phase.
Yeah, wow. Now that you mention that, because literally I was like, I may play some Morrowind, but I'm like, you have to really invest yourself into playing Morrowind because you have to do a lot of reading, and
I don't know how to read.
games do not hold your hand at all. But now I'm like, I've had a long day. Maybe I might play some Skyrim. And if I go on like an autistic Skyrim bender, I will hit you. And I will make sure you do not get up this time.
I feel like you'd hit me no matter what, though.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that this is going to be the reason. I'm giving you a reason instead of just like randomly doing it.
I mean, to be fair, whenever I look at you, I think, can I hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's it called? For you, it's can I hit. For me, it's I will hit.
I'm not opposed.
Vic, do you know what the fuck is happening?
There is a reason why our dental bill was so expensive, and it was paying for fake teeth.
Just for them to be knocked out again.
Exactly. Why do you think I bought you like the laughy jaw thing? Because it'd fly out.
I want to make a specific joke so bad, but I ain't doing that live.
I know, exactly.
That is not a live stream joke.
This is why you need to be up to date on the Zim Braden lore, Sea Monster.
Yeah, what's it called? I just realized. Technically, yeah, Sea Monster, you are technically a newer addition to the to the Zim streaming universe. Technically,
To the Imperium.
yeah, you're a newer addition to the Imperium.
I'm gonna be real. I can't even figure out most of our lore. I think if I remember correctly, Adam Wingard killed our marriage.
No, it was Mike Doherty.
I thought it was Wingard.
No, because you're talking about Mike D's wet dream, and that's why I got jealous, and that's like the start of the major abuse.
I'm gonna need a refresher on this. Hold on.
My gosh, I'm literally gonna have to do like the next April Fools. I'm gonna have to actually dedicate to doing like a Zim Braden lore breakdown.
I would
I'll invest in money to like fully have that like be voice acted and stuff, so that like everyone knows. So like people will be able to reference it.
It'll have more continuity than the Monsterverse, I'm sure.
It
I
really
will make sure that there is a like deeper thematic through line than the Monsterverse.
You know, I actually like today I found that footage of us watching Mike D's Wet Dream like a few years ago.
Oh right, yeah, I remember that.
I never edited it. I might get some highlights.
Oh, boy.
It was a trip. Hopefully we could do that again one day.
Mm-hmm. As well as I still need to set up the Cottom debates as well for
yes.
everyone.
Mike D's Wet Dream, what a trip.
Okay.
What an absolute trip.
But yeah, no, literally after New Empire, it has literally been one of those perhaps I judged you too harshly moments for me.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like my criticisms of King of the Monsters, they're the same. But in terms of like my personal like what would I rather have, I'm starting to kind of be like maybe I didn't know it could get worse.
Like I always like wasn't super hard on Cottom, but like
I was from day one. Like I remember walking out of that theater and I'm like, oh, the visuals can't get worse, can they? And then oh, Wingard.
Oh, Wingard.
Oh my god. Oh.
That needs to be clipped.
Oh wait.
You talking about more people?
Hold on. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, okay, not gonna lie, he's kind of cute though.
Compliment someone else on my stream.
Come on.
One more time.
Come on. Wingard.
That Cotton debate's still happening, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the thing is all the Monsterverse directors are kind of attractive. Not gonna lie.
You're gooning. You're gooning.
Am I the only one? Am I the only one who thinks this?
You're gooning.
You're glazing too hard.
You're glazing.
Like, come on. Okay, so Gareth gives me like those like
oh God, here we go.
The little like British school child kind of vibes. Where
What?
He's just adorable. he looks like a little like British school child on his way to like first day of school kind of thing, you know?
Pause.
Yeah. Pause.
No.
No.
Yeah.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
He's a little guy.
Vic, you've been around longer than I have, at least.
This is new. This is the like I don't know what started this arc right here.
Hey, even I'm stumped here, man. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one, Chief. There's the cook. Who let you cook today, sir?
To be fair, I have watched a lot of Gareth interviews.
Maybe my abuse never went far enough.
He's a little guy, you know. Like,
you know what? I'm gonna check it right now. I'm curious to see how tall is Gareth Edwards.
I forgot. I should know this. I'm a fake fan.
You are a fake fan.
I'm a fake fan. I'm looking at 2014 right
He's
now.
5'7".
He is a little guy.
He is.
I'm taller than him.
So actually, you know what we're gonna do that now. We're just gonna rank the Monsterverse director's heights. So, Jordan, Vogt,
Hold on,
Roberts.
I have a tweet idea.
Just do a kaiju size chart for all like, the Monsterverse directors. Jordan Vogt, Roberts. How tall is Is there? Wow. Is there anything on Jordan Vogt Roberts' height?
You might have to do some math.
I might have to do. Well, then I'd have to like compare him to like actors that I know the heights of, and then like do some pixel scaling. Like I'd have to go.
I mean, there is that one video where they're all together playing with their figures.
Yeah, but they might. I think they're hunched over in it a little bit. So like, it's funny because literally it's telling me how big Kong is, but not how tall Jordan Vogt Roberts is.
It's possible that Jordan Vogt Roberts' beard is almost as tall as he is, so we'll just go off of that.
So what does that make him, a dwarf or a gnome?
Here's the thing: I've only seen, like the only bit of footage I've seen of him was like when he was doing that honest trailers sort of thing for Kong Skull Island, where he actually made an appearance. Like I'm just going off of that pretty much, but that's 7 years ago.
Okay,
granted.
So wait, what's it called? Michael Jordan, Godzilla. Is that? Oh wait, is that him? Because either I'm looking at the wrong Mike Doherty, or Mike Doherty's apparently 6 feet then, or 6'2". I'm sorry. Hey, Mike Doherty 2. Nope. Wrong one. That is a different Mike Doherty, actually, ironically enough. It would be super weird if Gareth Edwards is the only one whose height is like known.
An official height. I'm sure.
Like an official height.
Let me check Wingard.
6'4". Jeez.
Oh, he's tall.
Wow. He is tall.
Wait, how tall are y'all?
I'm 6'1".
Oh, same.
I'm like 5'5".
5'9".
Isn't that so special that we're the same height, Nate?
Yeah, it just means that like my hands, I don't have to like go low, I don't have to go high. It's just like a straight up like.
It's perfect, exactly. It's
Straight
it's
jab.
fate.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now we're doing an official Monsterverse director size comparison. So right now, Adam Wingard is the tallest of the Monsterverse at 6'4", and so far Gareth Edwards is the shortest at 5'7".
That's why his movies are peak.
He's just a tiny little guy.
He's a tiny little guy. Well, you could say with Edwards, it's not the size; it's how you used it and how you use your volumetric lighting and shadows.
He's a master of scale, all right.
Oh my god.
So we now know who would win in a fight. So if based on power scaling, we could understand that at least Wingard striking like with his reach would be greater than that of Wingard's, or than Edwards. But Edwards, due to his smaller size, would technically maybe have a speed advantage. Therefore, it's possible he could blitz Wingard. But however, based on the speed feats of his monsters, more than likely,
I was gonna say you forgot he likes him slow and lumbering.
Because of the fact that we understand that his directorial style inquires that he likes slower monsters, it could be safe to say that Edwards prefers a slower fighting style. Therefore, we could probably say he cannot run at all. Like, the man cannot run. It is one foot in front of the other.
Wait, does this mean that
What in front of the other?
Does that mean that Wingard breaks his anatomy?
Yeah, like he's like literally a contortionist.
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
It's kind of in character.
Like, what's it called? The director style they really are emulating the monsters that they inhabit.
There's like this one pick on Mike D that I'm so curious about the context of.
Oh God, what is
Let me
it?
send this to you. Michael Doherty. I like how you pull up his IMDb and it's the GVK trailer.
Yeah.
That's great. What purpose this? He's kind of cute.
Oh, and people saying yapping. So, like, yeah, if you guys actually have legit questions and don't want to just hear us be stupid the entire time, you're more than welcome to ask questions. It's just filling space to the lulls. And because I
Ask
do
me
like
anything, Zim?
it is it could be essentially
Here,
ask me anything.
check private chat.
What did you do? I the horror is beyond my comprehension. Now, have you thought about what you did?
I did. I enjoyed that a lot.
What happened?
The goon.
Oh no.
Braden and his goon.
I don't know what the context of that picture is. I found it one day.
Just goon. Simple as.
I just found it one day and I'm just like, oh, okay, Mike D.
It's just pure goon. Simple as.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's like the same thing as saying you're a coomer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I am looking at 2014 right now, so.
Yeah.
Wait, so you mentioned earlier in the stream that
What's up?
OrganizedChaos made a video in 2014.
Yeah.
Was it a positive or negative review?
It was like it was in one of the older streams. I'll have to link it to you, but I remember like he legit was like, Godzilla 2014 doesn't make it clear as to whether or not it shares continuity with the original 1954 movie with a straight face. Yeah. The only reason why I'm not gonna pull up the video is because it claimed the stream the last time, and I'm like, yo, I literally do not want that happening again, just like because.
It's a pointless video from the sounds of it because it clearly doesn't connect to 1954 at all.
You know, there's a lot to criticize that movie for, but
that's like what?
That's definitely something.
Yeah. There's criticism, and then there's organized chaos. That's the best.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what the law of the land is. Like, there's criticisms, critiques, discussions, and so on, and you just got organized chaos, who's just like utter like. I wouldn't even say madness because madness would imply something that isn't even mildly interesting happening.
You might say chaos potentially.
Yeah.
No, chaos is too interesting for him.
So I'm not gonna give him the joy of getting that pun out of me, even though I love puns. Because that's
like punching. So
I like punching too. That's correct.
Yeah.
So
hey Vic.
That's
Yeah.
the dumbest most. Yeah.
What if Megan adopted you?
Oh. Let me think.
So are you saying he's my child?
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but like, why?
I don't know.
Can y'all afford child therapy?
Right, ask your mother. Ask your mother. Brayden, explain it to him.
He could barely afford my therapy, so.
I mean, let's go. I shell out for my kids, but Brayden's like, it's then.
Yeah. How are they, by the way? I haven't seen them in years.
Good. They're in college now. They've gone on, had successful careers. So, yeah, maybe if you were actually in their lives, you'd know.
Yeah. Wonder what's stopping that.
Your crippling addiction to crack.
No.
Yeah, I win. Just like our custody battle.
Yeah.
Edwards and Doherty would have to team up to beat Wingard.
Oh yeah. I tweeted about that earlier. It's kind of funny how like 2014 and some 2014 and King of the Monsters fans have actually like united against Wingard. Like, because like it's like the greater evil.
I mean, you know what? Facts. I support.
Yeah. It is kind of funny though that like the only Monsterverse movies that I don't like are the Wingard ones.
I would say that definitely the ones I dislike the most are the
Yeah.
Wingard ones.
I would say
In a way, it's kind of funny too because they're like essentially both Kong films.
Yeah.
Like the only good expansion to the Kong mythos in recent years has been essentially one movie that was doing its very hardest not to be a remake of the 33 film.
Mm.
I will
The
say the
only one-
Wingard film. Oh, sorry.
What?
The only one that I like the least is 2014. That's just because not enough Godzilla and monsters are too slow.
Monsters no go vroom vroom.
Right?
I will say the Wingard films are starting to become the ones I like the least. So
I just
Yep.
like I don't
I
know.
guess I kind of like them, but they're
It's not just that I
clearly
don't
this is
get
different
the
quality.
Wingard films. It's that like I don't get anything from them, and they also like take concepts I like and then just do not do a good job with them.
Yeah.
The way I see it, at least for like my personal enjoyment, is so the reason I call King of the Monsters Mike D's wet dream is because it literally feels like his wet dream. Like he you can tell he's like going all out and like trying to make this big magnum opus, whereas with Wingard, like he straight up has admitted multiple points he doesn't care. So, and like I feel like you can really feel that apathy.
I wouldn't necessarily say Wingard doesn't care to the
he's
same
admitted
extent
that.
of like to the extent of like I'm just here to make money pretty much. I think he seems to be a fan of Godzilla, at least, or the stuff with but just kind of like the stuff with Godzilla that we're trying to like that we would hope filmmakers would have just like moved away from, which is like the camp, what would be considered to be the campier elements, and he's like really leaning into that. When the Monsterverse between 2014 and Cautum weren't really like that, like they were trying to be a little more grounded at least.
Well, what's crazy too is like he's gone on record saying that he sees his movies as kids films. And it's like, wait a minute.
It's a film about giant radioactive dinosaurs intended for children. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
One sec. Wait. Yeah, it's a film about radioactive lizard intended for children. So don't criticize it. Please.
Oh, by the way, I haven't stopped thinking about Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, and to those people who don't like it, I wish you could see what I see in it because it's pretty great. That's another Patrick Williams quote.
Is that actually what he's? Is that?
That's another one of his.
Wait, no, was that something he said in relation to like Last Jedi, or was that something like he said in relation?
Yes, it's in that same. It's in the same video where he pulls the sign up that says,
okay.
It's the same video.
Years.
That thing, that video is dense.
No, I know it's dense, but it's like I forget so much.
In more ways than one.
Like how many like things were said in that video that are just bad.
Yeah. It's dense in more ways than one, let's just say.
It's chunky.
My favorite like anti-criticism thing was from Cinema Wins.
Oh God,
during The Rise of Skywalker. It was something. Wasn't it something like just pretend this is what you?
Oh yeah.
Something like that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You should never, ever, ever pull that card for any film, ever. Not even the really good ones. Never. Don't ever pull it for anything.
Like people will say like, oh, films inspire the imagination. Just because a film inspires the imagination does not mean that like you need to make up like what you're seeing in order to have a good viewing experience. What?
Yeah, like when you're actively telling your audience to like go out of the way to forcibly make them like just forcibly accept what they're seeing on screen, then you've already lost the discussion there.
You're also technically like telling them to lie to themselves in a way.
Yeah,
Oh, it
it's
is
total
true,
lying.
But that's just a lie.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I've figured it out. I
What?
want Godzilla to be poorly animated. It's what I want. I'm just telling myself that's what I want.
Well,
I
how about you
will enjoy
pretend?
the
How
movie
about
now.
you? How about you just tell yourself that it is well animated, and that this is just
Oh yeah.
it's just Wingard Slopfest. That's what it is.
No. It has substance. Don't you understand? The monkeys like did things.
And
And
yeah, you're right.
Substance. Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry.
Look, Brayden.
I did not
Pretend
believe in Wingard Slopfest. I'm sorry, Wingard.
Yeah. Pretend that the beatings are what you want, and pretend and see if you like it.
Yeah.
The two subplots collided.
Okay. Well,
This is exactly why we introduced Sea Monster essays in issue 32 of this arc.
Oh, you're keeping track. Okay.
Oh,
Wait,
what? I mean,
what issue was I? Lynn?
you
Fred.
were literally the pilot episode villain.
Villain.
Yeah.
I thought it was the lover.
What's it called? Ted out of universe within the production of the Zimcast multimedia project. You technically you were brought in as the Fred lover.
I was brought in as a villain.
That's exactly. However, through what we like to call retroactive continuity changes.
Oh, of course.
Like
Love those.
your origins were changed, and then that's how the new origins as my ex took shape. And then technically, that does remind me. Oh wait, no, I can check it in another way. Because I could check here when Vic was introduced as, like, what episode he was introduced as, and then he got retconned into being on the team as well.
Wait, so instead of just having natural character development, you just have retcons.
Literally, like the entire multimedia project for the Zimcast is retcons. That's why I complain so much about retcons.
Oh.
so this is now. So now I've entered it when it's like in like the equivalent of Phase 4 or 5 of the MCU. Am I
No,
correct?
we finally hit our stride. So, like, unlike the MCU that started strong, we started out really badly, and now we've hit our stride. And yeah, technically,
Okay.
Vic wasn't introduced until episode 3. So, like, technically, it wasn't like a villain of the week type of show, but like, it wasn't until we got another villain in the form of Vic that we end up getting to the episode structures that we know and love of the series.
This is so much autism. This is just,
Episode 3, Revenge of the Vic.
it's just autism.
So- Well, yeah,
so what
technically-
was that?
You
Was that
you
your
were
Piccolo or your Vegeta?
technically Brayden came first, so technically he's my Piccolo. And technically Brayden was retconned into my ex, so technically he is my Piccolo. That does make you my Vegeta, technically.
Wait, I don't know Dragon Ball. How does?
Oh,
Wait, no, like I know basic Dragon. See, that's the thing. Despite me being a beaner, I'm like the whitest beaner, and part of that is I don't like Dragon Ball. So
wow. That's
That's like the
why no one else hung out with you as a kid. It's because your entire community was like Dragon Ball, and you're like, eh.
no, that was the autism.
Well,
Aw.
I mean, you didn't have the right kind because theirs was
Oh yeah,
was
of course.
Dragon
I
Ball.
didn't have the Dragon Ball one. I had the one where it was a giant lizard.
Yeah, but like, so there's some communities that are like super into that. So like, you did not find your tribe until much later in life.
And it's just more autists.
Yeah. But again, you literally, your entire backstory got retconned, so that should speak to it. But yeah, so Vic was introduced in episode 3 as like the main villain, but then like he would then appear, let's see. He then appeared again. He was actually he was the first character to end up as a two-parter, because literally he appeared in episode 3 G98 Defender debate, and then he appeared that episode later as round 2.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
then we had our own rounds, on our own.
yeah. And then Sakaiju, I think, was introduced as like the first real ally, and
Wait, that's kind of true.
yeah, he was introduced as the first just ally, and then after like a few episodes is then when Vic's entire backstory got retconned into being a hero. And then we just kept on getting more and more and more. So that is like that is the unadulterated story of the Zim cinematic universe. Who's Broly? I think technically Theon Tyler, Theon Tyler is my Broly, because those debates were actually kind of the most heated. So he gets the title of being Broly.
Wow. Yeah, I actually watched a little bit of that. Pretty much, pretty crazy.
Yeah, but now I'm wondering. I'm like, who's my Frieza then? I think probably technically that means Rick was Frieza, but then that also means Rick stays Frieza, because like I would say like the beef's Crush. So yeah, Rick is literally the Frieza of the Zim cinematic universe. And that means now we're waiting for the... Oh, wait. If we're waiting for the Android Saga, that means I'm going to die soon. Wow.
Oh, rip.
Yeah. Oof. Oof!
Man.
My autism just caused my death.
We do have a shortened life expectancy, apparently.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go.
What's it called?
See you at home.
Wait, Sea Monster. You think you can stay for 4 minutes to make it to make the stream 3 hours?
Fuck it, why not?
Let's go! Woo! What is all this lore? Literally, I was like wondering what we're saying. So ever since I started doing live streaming, like more commonly, and I was bringing people on for debates and stuff, or bringing people on as guests, we have now just constructed lore around everyone. And technically, since Brayden was the first person I debated, that is why he's technically the pilot episode villain. And since Vic had the most debates,
I was your first.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Oh, I feel so special.
You were the first debate opponent. Yeah.
Aww.
You weren't the first person I brought on a live. Actually,
I'm special.
Who was my first person? I ain't answering that on stream.
Oh! I'm sorry. I should not be laughing at that. Nothing.
Oh,
stay a few minutes after we end the stream, see, and you'll find out
that is extended lore.
That's some deep cuts. I'm sure.
That is deep.
If I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah.
That is literally
deep lore.
That is literally deep lore.
That's like probably lost episode type.
That is the lost episodes.
It should stay lost.
That is
we ain't finding that.
Bro. That was
lost media.
That was lost media. That will never cook again.
Good.
Is it like Brayden or Zim like doing a cheap walk cycle? That's the lost episode?
Oh no,
that's -1.
That's
Oh, okay. Oh, dang. Oh, wow.
That's right at the end, right as we're about to end things, of course. This is why I smacked you every day.
I had to have one -1 pot shot.
I know. You wanted one cheap one. Right as I started getting the pose goodies too, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna end the stream. But I do actually have to work on a big video for tomorrow, and I'm probably gonna want to get at least a short or another video out by the week. But we transition into the showing. So, Baredon, you get to show, good sir.
I just found out that I'm Nate's first, and I think that's so beautiful. You know, it just makes me so happy, and I just want to spread love and joy to Nate. So I hope everyone in the chat just say, "Love you, Nate." Just give him some love and some money. You guys should probably super chat as well. He needs to feed the kids in the basement. But in terms of what I'm doing, besides, you know, simping for Nate and desperately wanting his affection and to feel his loving touch again.
You're never getting it again!
I never got it in the first place. It was always a dream.
Beautiful lie.
So yeah, some nights I'd wake up twitching, and then he'd make me twitch even more. So, anyways, I do funny color stuff. I ruin the color in movies because I make everything look like King of the Monsters. It's kind of an addiction. So I do funny color, and sometimes I talk about things. I don't know. I have YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. It's all my name. But in reality, my biggest place is in Nate's heart.
And the Nates you made along the way.
Okay, so this has been your guest, or one of your guests, the Sea Monster. I basically have just found out I'm part of a bigger universe that I just didn't know about until tonight. As far as like what I got going on my side of things, got some videos along the way. Hopefully y'all will enjoy them. Hoping to get one out by the end of April or the beginning of May. And I also host my own set of streams called Sea Monster Live. I'm hoping that I will do a stream for the new movie Abigail when I get around to seeing it as soon as possible. It's hard. I can't really give a definitive day or time, but I will, at least for now, but I will be sure to let anyone know about that. But yeah, so there it is. Check out my shit, folks.
Bon.
All right. As a veteran to the Zimcast universe, I'm your typical 98 chill. You can find me as Kaijunaut on YouTube, where you can find some good 98 content. You can follow my art account on Twitter as Vic Monstrous. I have commissions open. You can check out my artistry or my Ko-fi page. I got some new membership tiers there where you can get some monthly art. If you want to go support me there and keep up with all my projects coming up.
Ballin'. And you can find me at Zimzilla essentially everywhere outside of Twitter, which is OG_Zimzilla99 or Zimzilla99 with those numbers right there on the screen, being my Discord. Of course, you can join the Discord or sign up for the Patreon or be a member. Anything helps out the channel. And as for the projects, stay posted, because if you sign up for the Patreon, you will start to get videos early. And that's the next video that's coming out. Let's just say it has something to do with a specific island and an audio drama that is long overdue. So with that, I bid you all adieu. This is Zimzilla, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one, guys.
See y'all at home.
Bye.